You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Nation Wars 4. It's finally time. France against Mexico. And we're professionals here, so we shouldn't be too biased, right? So, like, I got a French flag on that jacket. Maybe I should take it off and be unbiased.
Oh.
Oops. No, of course, I'm going to be totally biased in this one. What about you? Any favorite here, or?
Favorite? Well, okay. So obviously, I'm not I'm not French, so I don't really have that much of a bias. And I actually predicted Mexico to win, which yes, a lot of people were quite angry about in the studio. But
well,
I guess maybe I should be like North American bias, like Mexico.
Okay, well,
maybe.
Definitely wants you back for Nation Wars 5 again. I'm just kidding.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so.
Oh,
wait,
Roddy
what?
also predicted Mexico to win.
Roddy, that's payback. That is payback for every prediction I've made against Netherlands.
Wow.
Except he made it 3-4. Okay, he wasn't as bad as me. I would have said 4-0, but you know what?
I said 4-2? Oh.
It's okay. It's going to be completely wrong like always anyway, so like nothing changes there.
Okay, all right. Well.
Funka 4-3 really respecting Mexico, though, but I guess technically they've beaten France before.
Yeah, I think you actually really have to respect Mexico. Major is looking pretty good. And then, as Roddy kept pointing out, in the last series, Cham was also looking very good. So I don't think it's a one-man team. I think it's a... Well, Jim Rising also is like this oddball you can throw, and I just think it's a really good team.
Let's take a look at the French lineup. We've got T. Drogo for Protoss, Marine Lord Terran, the hero that single-handedly pretty much won the previous Nation Wars 3, and Stefano, the legend himself. And our sub is Daishi as well if needed.
Yeah.
Pretty good lineup all around here. I mean, Stefano, obviously, is going to be gunning to do better than last Nation Wars where he didn't win a single map.
Yeah.
And T. Drogo, I'm sure he's been practicing a good bit for this.
Yeah, I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Drogo, basically to be the stable player of the team. We know Marine Lord can be good, but his motivation isn't there. We know Stefano can be amazing, but is he recently? Is he actually in form? Drogo is the one that everyone knows has been playing in online tournaments, occasionally qualifiers, and he's looking as strong as usual, basically. So that's also why I wasn't too confident in France's win here. I really think that Drogo's the only stable guy. As much as Stefano's been, rumored to be practicing and, rumored to be doing very, very well and streaming a lot too as well. So I guess it's more than just rumors, but I don't know if that really translates, into a professional play.
I guess we'll find out. Historically, though, France has always done quite well, like 8th place in the first Nation War, 3rd, and then first and winner of the last one. That was the most impressive by far, but there's not too many teams that have always done really well. Like, for example, last Nation Wars, I think Norway went out quite early, even though they were the double champion from the years before. Yeah. So France is one of those that always seems to do well. Let's take a look at the lineup of Mexico as well. Here, we've got Jim Rising, Cham, and Major. So it's also a pretty strong lineup as well. Like, if you mostly watch, I guess, like European tournaments, you probably won't necessarily be that familiar with all of them, but by now they've been to quite a few international tournaments as well. Cham is very good, actually. Like, I really think like he's one of the guys that's also very underestimated. He started doing very well in those North American tournaments more and more as of late. Yeah. Obviously, Major is going to be the ace. I mean, almost 100,000 in gains.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, I agree. I think Cham is looking strong. Major is looking as good as ever. Jim Rising, as I mentioned before, he has actually a very odd style of play most of the time. So I think is not like an all-ball, like, can I throw him in there type deal. I think it's actually a strong third addition to the team. No subs, so hopefully, no disconnects. Been a little bit unlucky when it comes to, I guess, today's weird start, but also a couple of disconnects have happened. Hopefully not for Team Mexico. They did get top 16 last Nation Wars, actually top 2 in Nation Wars 2, which I believe Major and Jim Rising were there for, but Cham was not.
Yeah, very disappointing actually last season. And if you have to compare, like going from runner-up to top 16, they definitely did not deliver there. We'll want to be looking to try and change that there. And I mean, if you look at the group, obviously, I got my French bias, but I think it's doable for them to advance here if they're playing really well. If all of these guys are on their A game, so cannot wait here to get this started. They are actually born past in the 90s, which is interesting. Like a lot of it feels like a lot of teams they've got some really young players. Not too many of them have like older generation, but there's still a couple 80-ish years people in there.
Darn people being born in the 90s. I was born in 91, actually. Sorry. I'm also one of those youngins, I suppose.
All right, I believe the interview's ready, so let's go and hear from our interviewers and these captains here.
Thank you very much, Todd. Here I am with the glorious Roddy, and this is one of the hardest interview there will have to be because I'm about to ask the people of France, the players of France, how they feel. What do you think about this series in general? Like, are you excited? Are you looking forward to it?
I've been talking about this one for a couple of days. I think this is a super interesting match. I think it's an interesting group overall, where I do see Poland as the favorite. But Mexico has the potential. I mean, if Major is on his A game, he's unstoppable from time to time. And once again, I think Chem is one of the most absolutely underrated players out there. And I think the last time that Chem played against Elaser, I actually casted him in the Heroes, the Ladder Heroes tournament from Fear Dragon. And Chem won pretty convincingly. Chem is really good, man. Chem is like a real star in the making, I think, for 2017. If he keeps the motivation up, if he keeps practicing. A lot of people get good and they kind of stagnate. I feel that Chem just keeps on improving, keeps on getting better. So I'm pumped.
I agree with you. Like, even comparing to Nation Wars 2, and they actually made it to the second place of the tournament, I think the team is a little bit more powerful and more dangerous. Actually, the captains are here, so let's not wait any longer. Hello, guys.
Yo. Hello.
Yo. Drogo, Jim Rising, welcome to the interview. I will start off with a question to Drogo. Drogo, my friend, my ZVZ expert. First of all, you're being missed at the casting desk, obviously, but you're part of the team now. You're part of the French team for the first time, and you know that Mexico and France played in Nation Wars 2. You watched it from the distance. Do you think you can make them pay for that last game of Nation Wars 2 today?
Yeah, sure. I gotta pay.
All right, Drogo. Super hyped up, I guess.
Jim, nice to see you here. I know that you've been reaching out a little bit lately. You've done a little bit of casting as well, but you're back in the seat. Are you ready to perform here at Nation Wars?
Yeah, we are ready. For sure, we are ready.
Yeah, are you still playing a lot? Because I know you've done quite a bit of casting lately, but is the fire still burning as a player as well?
Yeah, I'm still playing a lot. Also, I'm streaming a lot too.
All right, so you're ready to shine and show that this is not a two-man team, but Jim Rising can contribute as well?
Huh?
Are you? It's okay. He's ready. That's the most important.
Yeah. He seems ready. Drogo, what can I ask to you? Because obviously you're not giving me any answer. Are you ready to give me something like powerful to any question that I'm asking?
It depends on what your question is, man.
Okay. What do you want me to ask you? What could be a great question that you would give me a great answer? I don't know. All right. Right. Okay. Now we're speaking French, so you guys don't understand. What do you think?
I don't know, man.
Is Stefano going to win games this year? Is Stefano actually counting?
That's a good question. You found your answer yourself. Stefano practiced a lot, so I think he's gonna really give it a fight. Stefano Major actually played a lot on the ladder in Europe, so maybe it's gonna happen here. It's gonna be really exciting. Marilord might pick him up. I don't know. I think he's losing a lot in Overwatch, so he got a bit frustrated, so he played a bit of Starcraft too, so maybe he's gonna pick him up too. That'd be pretty amazing. And I don't know, I play a lot myself. I feel pretty good, but not like amazingly good. I'm gonna fall zero with shit. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. They're all pretty good in the opposite team, and it's gonna be a good match.
Yeah, Drogo, looking at this group, I mean, obviously the French scene is very passionate and they've got high hopes after Season 3. But I think this is a very tough group, right? Do you see it as a tough group, or are you expecting France at least to make it to the quarterfinals or maybe even semis?
Yeah, like I think it's very tough. Like even Mexico right now is pretty strong, but Poland is maybe looking even scarier than the last time. Like the last time Starcraft was all about Poland, Germany. It's kind of the same once again, but maybe a bit like even scarier, because back then Elaser wasn't estimated. Right now he made the top 4 list. So technically like the highest team, I think it is, like the highest BlizzCon points. So yeah, it's probably like one of the toughest group in the competition right now, I think.
I see. And Jim, how's the confidence within Mexico? Have you guys been talking a lot with each other? You, Cham, Major, has there been discussions? What's the goal? How far do you guys want to go?
Yeah, well, we are very, very close friends. So we are just worried about Petit Drogo from France. And it's not about his Petit Drogo, right? It's about his products. So, we are thinking about defeating him. And I think we can do very good versus Stefano and Marine Lord. And also, we need to play it versus Poland, maybe, if we win, right? I think the hardest opponent is Poland. They are just so good.
All right. Well, I'd like to know who starts off on.
Yeah, same here. Drogo, who will be the first French player to be playing this Nation War?
That's gonna be Marine Lord. Yeah.
Marine Lord. All right.
The MVP of Season 3.
Uh-huh.
Jim, who's going to be the first player to represent Mexico?
Cham.
Oh, sick. That's going to be a great game.
Match.
Oh, my God.
Great match and a lot of banter. I can already smell it, you know? Okay, guys, do you have like a prediction in terms of score and maybe a message to the opposite team? Drogo?
I think it's going to be 4-3 on my message to the opposite team is good luck, have fun.
What a nice gentleman. And Jim, prediction?
I think 4-3-2. I think, yeah.
But for Mexico, I assume, right?
Oh, yeah. Of course. We're winning.
Yeah. All right, good luck, guys. I'm looking forward to the games.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
I don't think we need to add anything, right?
No, but I do want to say that this is an absolutely fantastic first match. Cham against Marine Lord. Once again, I'm still thinking that a lot of people look at this like, that's an easy victory for Marine Lord, but I don't think that's going to be the case at all.
Yeah.
Cham is super good, and I'm sure that he's really eager to show on a big stage that he can compete with Europe's best. So.
Yeah, things change in the last couple of months, and we will about to see how it's going to go. And without further ado, let's go back to the casters.
Thank you very much, guys. Cham against Marine Lord, our first matchup. Now, Cham, being from Mexico, one of the best player for a long time, was considered to be Major, who's a Terran. So Cham had to think a lot about that matchup, and I think that's really what's kind of has made him better in it, and also kind of focused against Terran in a way that's worries me a little bit, because I'm sure he's pretty darn good against Terran.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point. I think he's still been losing to Major, if I recall correctly, but Major is Major, and he's also doing well. And luckily, this is a part where he's teammates with the guy. But it's a question of, okay, his ZVT is good. He's been practicing. That's great. But Marine Lord has also not been practicing too much Starcraft, so that's like the more important story, I suppose.
Also, we think.
Well, that's what we think. Apparently he's losing Overwatch games, so maybe he is playing StarCraft again. I don't know. And plus, last time I saw Marine Lord really trying very hard, he wanted to mix things up and go for mech, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if he could do that versus Cham.
The fact that this is the first map as well, like the maps are picked before you decide which players you're going to send first, I feel probably helped decide who was going to come out first. A lot here from France. Because Marine Lord probably looked at an habitation station. He's like, I can actually quite like this against any one of the Mexican players. So he's going out on this, not Stefano. And there it is, starting in the top left-hand side of habitation station, playing as the blue Terran. It's France's Marine Lords.
And in the top right is the red Zerg. He is Cham.
The early game banter is there, as predicted from the interview area.
Very
And
nice.
are we going to see some mech? That's the thing. You talked about it.
Yes, I almost didn't hear you because, of course, the French cast just went crazy introducing, I assume, Marine Lord. But yeah, mech. He was doing mech versus, well, last time I saw him, he was actually a TVT. He actually performed very well versus Björn, which I guess he wouldn't have to worry about quite yet. But that was... know, like a month or two ago, I
Yeah.
want to say, at least. So I don't know what current form he's in now. I don't know what he's really thinking. I mean, the usual bread and butter, like if I haven't been practicing lately, I'm going to go back to my roots, is the 2-1-1. So maybe that's just what we're going to see.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic too, where Marine Lord looks a lot like Korean players in terms of inspiration. Now, one of the best Korean players out there in terms of tier, and maybe the best tier right now, Innovation, plays quite a bit of mech against Zerg, and he wins pretty much all the time. So maybe Marine Lord's looked at that, he looked at his streams, and he's like, you know what, let's get some Hellbats and some Cyclones and wreck this kid. But on the other hand, the same kind of can be said about Major. He's also a very good mech player. If knowing this and thinking about this going to this match, they practice together, Champ definitely may be on point against mech as well. So we'll have to see if this is actually what goes down there. But just some things to note there.
I think first and foremost, just going to be like Cham should be scouting for that option. Some Zerg players will just scout, like, you know, the barracks and not quite assume it's going to be a 2-1-1, but assumption there is definitely it's going to be bio. Maybe Cham should actually remember to scout for, of course, further potential mech builds, or even anything to deal with, like, Hellbat builds, as Marine Lord, of course, knows a couple of cheesier attacks as well. He is getting a factory right now, but got a Marine before that reactor is going to be able to push away the Overlord, and this might deter Cham from actually sending that in later.
Yeah, I remember actually very early on when I started playing Starcraft, I had this very interesting discussion with Dimaga where he was explaining me that you should never freestyle when you go in games, as much as you should have more or less a fairly precise plan, like a mapped out build order and a clear idea of how it's gonna go in terms of build order into the mid game and into the late game, but then be ready to switch it up, to adapt to whatever is happening. But if you just start a game and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna get a Cybercore and then I'll see what I think at the last second before starting a Stargate and Robo, usually it's going to go bad for you because you don't really know where you're going exactly with that. So it's better to have like an entirely mapped out build. Now if you're Cham and like I said, you think that Marine Lord's going to be playing some mech, or you know, I mean, he knows, I think probably quite a bit about Marine Lord's TVZ. Even in general, you can pick up on some trends just by looking at some replays or VODs here and there. There is probably like a good chance, I think, that he might have decided already some sort of timings or stuff like that he might go into, maybe even play extra greedy if he thinks that Marine Lord's a little bit too passive. There was a time, actually, when Marine Lord was already playing mech and was doing pretty well against Zerg that I remember Snoots for a little bit of time. He started blind countering Marine Lord like super hardcore. Yeah. And he kept making jokes about it as well. He kept saying like he's only playing like this because Marine Lord is a coward, which I thought was very funny from Snoot because he doesn't trash talk much, but he was saying it in a funny way, obviously. And what he meant by that is that Marine Lord played so passive that Snoot was going up to like 110 drones or 105 drones and then making a ton of buildings and, well, I mean, building up a big bank and then making a ton of units and going up to even over 200 supply. That is some sick Photoshop right there.
Yeah, amazing Photoshop. But will they be able to make it this time? Hashtag Max win. I don't know if it's entirely accurate. I'm trying to even talk about how Major maybe doesn't have to carry his team. Yeah. Like that guy's carrying weights.
Oh, that's Horus, by the way, the caster. I like this guy. And Roy van der Wilt tweeted, watching in the bathroom, kids taking shower / bath. Hey, Roti, that is good. I love the personal message in there.
Dedication, man. I got Chris Fected. Raise your taco. I assume she's cheering from Mexico.
Viva la Mexico.
There you go.
I probably butchered that. Just like everybody butchers when they say like Viva la France, when it's Vive la France.
Vive la France?
Yeah, not Viva.
The more I learn. I think Funka came up to me yesterday and he was like, Bon appétit or something. And I was
Bon
like,
appétit.
But he didn't add the last part. So he was like, don't know what that means? And I was like, wasn't it
Bon
appétit?
Bon app.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
okay.
you go.
It's like a slang. Yeah, you cut everything short.
Like, I don't, this is a trick question. I think I know what it means. But yeah. Anyway, so it looks like Marine Lord had some high ping. That's what we're currently getting resolved right now. But, you know, he talked about the passive play potential for Marine Lord and Snoot, you know, jabbing at him and whatnot. And we did see a third CC put down by Marine Lord there. So I think it is an older way of playing, which it makes sense if Marine Lord is again, like, hasn't been practicing the last 2 months, he would go down, he'd go back to his, like, usual, like, standards. And once upon a time, that was the 3cc after that factory.
And that was being made next to the main command center, so it begs the question, gold base or not? Because it's fairly close to it.
Yeah, actually, I think he would take the gold base. Terrans do generally get that kind of edge there, I think, with the gold base, except in TBT, in which case, don't ever take it. Tanks looks, just make it totally not worth it. But unless Cham has some type of aggressive, like, roach opener and then follow up into, like, some, like, mutas, like, I think actually he could get away with the gold base.
I really wonder how ready would Cham be if he had to face a mech build. Actually, well, never mind. Say no more. Steam Pack begins. It's not going to be mech at all. And we've got Hellions on the way in the meantime. A Marauder as well, and the Roach Horn is now on the way. I wonder if that's for defense.
It was so early. I'm not sure. Okay,
it should be, if he goes for the third hatch, unless he cuts drones now and makes some units, right?
He did see that it was a factory opener, and I don't think he's seen the third CC yet. So I think what he's thinking, what is very a usual thought process is, like, is he have a factory? He's going to put the Hellions. He's going to turn them into Hellbats. Do I need to scout for an armory? Because if it's not this third CC build, which again is pretty old, then it's usually a Hellbat build of some variety, and roaches are the easiest way to take care of it.
Yeah, you mentioned the importance of scouting earlier, and I think, like, you definitely had a very good point. So far, Cham really hasn't seen much or put too much effort into really trying to see what Marine Lord's up to. So I don't know if it's, like, just a mistake, or if he thinks he's not worried about anything, and he only has, like, a very tunnel vision game plan of his own.
Yeah, I would say that, if he's getting roaches and a good, well, he's starting to build links too, he's actually playing a safe game, then, okay, his scouting really matter, but it would, just because he wouldn't know he could be so much greedier than he is. But he's building, only units right now, and I would not mind whatsoever if he went for an attack here. We talked about his potential studying of Marine Lord, and Marine Lord did do this a lot, so if he's just kind of countering him here, then kudos to Cham.
And Marine Lord spots a lot of these roaches here in the middle of the map.
Yeah,
he needs to work on his wall. I think he wasn't completed yet. He needs to get a bunker and needs to get enough units to hold this, because he really doesn't have that much.
Yeah, he did go kind of that defensive start with the Marauder, which is nice. We need something to put that Marauder in, or just get focus fired. The Hellions really can't help out that much. The Roaches should take care of them before they roast those Lings. This is going to be pretty close.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he didn't wall off here. He buys some time by baiting one of these corrosive biles. He's going to pull back behind this wall off that's not actually completed here now, and one of the bunkers already finished, but these units are going to get jumped on top of.
They have stim, but they were backed into a corner, and of course no medevacs to heal them. Corrosive biles also hit a lot of those units. The bunkers are still up, but with not very many units in them. However, Cham will back off and I suppose wait for further Ling reinforcements.
And Cham committed a lot to this. He's not actually making any more drones. Marine Lord's 10 walkers ahead. If he can hold this, he's going to be in a great position, especially with that third command center. So all he has to do is make units and survive. First medevac is now on the way. More Hellions and Marines as well.
I don't know about this. Cham is giving a lot of production time to Marine Lord. Like,
he's going to supply block him, though.
Oh, that's actually a good point.
Maybe a call-down supply is going to be needed here from Marine Lord, who needs to hold on. He needs to maybe fight with his SCVs as well.
There we go. The Hellions are the things, he's trying to build anything at all right now from that factory, from the barracks, but it might not be enough. The Ling Flood might have been a little bit too strong, and the bunker does go down to the corrosive biles. Really only SCVs left over. GG.
He just has too much, and he breaks through. Marine Lord goes down in game number 1 here. The hero from the last Nation Wars for France is going to fall to Cham in the first match. That does not bode well for France.
No, it doesn't. I guess we're going to check out a replay of the game here in a second, but I don't know. Like, you send out Marine Lord, you hope that it's the old Marine Lord, but you know it's not. So to lose him, and especially to this fashion, maybe you just say, okay, well, that happened. Let's look forward to Stefano and Drogo. But this is the last moments, I suppose. The bio dying. It was just too much of a, the Ling Flood actually ended up being too much. There weren't enough bunkers. There weren't enough units. His medevacs were also only just coming out. And I don't know. I was with you. Like, I'm surprised he didn't try and wall off. I'm surprised he didn't go for a third bunker.
Yeah. I mentioned, these players being able to study each other, obviously. And I think Marine Lord pretty often, likes to go for third command center.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most Terrans, I think that like to macro are kind of known for that. So Cham, maybe knowing that, went for a lot of units and went for the bus, but we're going to find out whether Stefano or Petit Drogo comes out next. It's going to be on Vanny Research Station, so...
Okay. I would say Stefano.
Yeah? I agree with you, but at the same time, like...
Oh, it's Drogo. Yeah. Drogo doesn't mind Vanny, so... All right, I was actually thinking...
PVZ, like on Vanny, it's still like It's quite all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, but I was thinking more just like save Drogo for the last because as I was saying earlier that I think the more stable player and continue sending Stefano out to test Cham a little bit more.
You always save the best for last.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently
Stefano.
not. Oh, my bad. Stefano is obviously the best for last. That's where I was mistaken. But
actually, there is a big question mark on that, right? Because like Stefano, we know that sometimes he just like kind of comes out of nowhere, like that one Starcraft where he beat like all these great Korean players and just great players all around. I think a lot of people don't really expect much of him at times, even though he's such a big name that has been around forever and outperforms the expectations often. And I think if Stefano, like if he practiced a fair bunch, and if he looked at the last Nation Wars thinking I really should have won some maps and helped the team, he might be able to do well here. Better than most people that expect him not to win any maps, I guess. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stefano could certainly take a map off of, well, especially, I guess, in a ZVZ, but it's not Stefano. It's Drogo, and he might be looking for the 4-0 anyway, not even need Stefano. But that's going to be a tall order. I think Drogo can take on Cham for sure, but I'm not sure Drogo can take on Major for 2 reasons. Major and Terran right now. Terran's having a pretty good time in the PvT matchup.
You said just what I was thinking, but in a nicer way.
Yeah, in a nicer way.
Vanny Research Station so far, Zerg is 51% against Protoss here on this map.
They made a mistake. Why in the world would they ever send a Protoss? Zerg has 1% favor. God.
Because he's Drogo and he's going to change that.
Clearly he's going to change it.
Drogo's, I mean, he's one of those players that really got known for his PvZ, so looking forward to what he can do there. And there he is, starting at the top side of the map, playing as the blue Protoss. Is of course Francis Drogo.
And in the bottom position, as the red Zerg from Mexico, he is Cham.
It feels like Cham already kind of did his job by beating at least one player, Marine Lord in particular. But Cham is definitely one of those players that, like I said, is overlooked a lot and has the potential to do quite a bit of damage there. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he beat Drogo and then even after that Stefano. Like, he's a very good player.
I think from the last game, it's obvious that he studied his opponents. And that's one nice thing about knowing your group ahead of time. And that's Roach Rush with Ling Flood after really worked well against the greedy Marine Lord. I'm sure you could look at Drogo's replays and see just what type of Protoss Drogo has been playing. And actually, I don't really know if you can hard counter, any of the macro builds, but okay, well, this is weird. It's a scout, right? Like, yeah. I don't think I've seen the middle base taken since, gosh, I don't even know who did it last. Certainly last time Vanna was in the map pool, but
it was not a Zerg, he was Has.
It was Has, so that was my mistake again. So
Cham being extra safe here, scouting for any kind of potential proxies. Drogo, not the cheesiest player, but he's definitely one of those players that's capable of throwing in something crazy at times. And the fact that he's the best of one kind of encourages that as well. But in this case, he's just playing fairly standard here up until now. And I have to wonder, Drogo, he was kind of known for trying to standardize most of his build orders against Zerg in particular, like whether it was the Baguette PvZ with sentries and third base into Mass Blink Stalkers, or later on when he was playing the Charge Lot Archon style with double Robo Mass Immortals. What would it be now? I guess one of the things that we've seen a lot of is Adept's Glaive into double Stargate, but in this case it's just going to be the single Stargate, which is still very, very standard. You just open one Oracle a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. He's going to get the Overlord.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, looks like it. Unfortunately, Cham, I don't think he's going to be able to scout the Stargate. It's way back there, and he's going the wrong direction, too. He's hoping that it's that pylon powering it.
And he gets pneumatized card base right behind this immediately, knowing that he wants to know exactly how Drogo is opening, because he changes everything. Whether, like, you might think that because the main 2 options are Stargate or Dark Templars, you're going to need Spores against both. You need to know if maybe it's Glaives, and then you can skip on the Spores, and for example. So I like that he goes for that, because now Cham is sure that he's going to be able to follow up Scout with that second Overlord here.
I do like that option as well. I think Pneumatized Carapace is just a good upgrade to have for its costs, and it's certainly going to be helpful scouting. I guess the Oracle might reveal itself first anyway, but point is we'll be able to determine what it exactly is happening. The ages of like the follow-up all-in after a Stargate, I kind of miss those. I thought they were fun little twists to the Protoss build, but don't really exist so much in Legacy of the Void.
Yeah, this Stalker bought a lot of time for this Overlord not to get in there. So if the Oracle reaches the base of Cham undetected, and there is no spore there. This could do a lot.
Yeah, it could do a lot. Rarely do you see an Oracle just unscouted doing a lot of damage in the drone line. Looks like Cham...
Oh, he starts spores. He kind of somehow gets a whiff.
Yeah, something is wrong. And the Spore Crawler really is the great, like, all-around. Like, well, I guess I don't know what the Protoss is doing, so this is going to be 2 out of 3 guesses, either Dark Shrine or the Oracle. And it was the Oracle, but unfortunately the Spore Crawler is a little bit late, so just target on those drones, and 7 go down. No, okay, just go for an 8th one. 7 is pretty good for the Oracle, and it lives, too.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry, but in this case it's too late to apologize, and he loses 7 drones. 42 probes to 35 drones now.
Yeah.
And Cham actually, he felt forced maybe to make some links. Look at this. He's getting 12 links, when right now it feels like he should be droning up only. So maybe he thinks there's going to be some sort of follow-up at depth.
It's possible. He might just be thinking that that fast third is something he could actually take down before the SimCity is up and running. So with like 20, 30 links, that might just be possible, but he's got to send him across the map now. Anticipate some type of a depth attack. Still waiting for speed to finish, of course. The Oracles are not going to quite see this. They only saw a handful of Lings leave. There's a Spore Crawler in the 3rd base. But is that 3rd base of Drogo protected? It looks like his army's over there.
Usually just 2 pylons and overcharges can get rid of almost any amount of links. So I'm not sure why Cham is committing to this. I really don't see this work, but...
Yeah,
if he was going to go for drop elsewhere at the same time, that's one way you could make this work,
true.
But I don't think that's the case right now.
Yeah, I think it really is just like you're thinking your opponent's a little bit worse than you hope your opponent's a little bit worse and doesn't have those 2 pylons already set up. I mean, or the militia core is not in position. I guess that's another possibility. But yeah, a good Protoss is going to have this SimCity set up, going to have a couple of units, and 20, 30 Lings are not going to be able to do enough damage. They're going to be able to patrol the map now and have that map control, but yeah, I agree. Like, those 20 Lings could have been just droning and making up for the earlier losses.
He's trying to run by into the main, but the wall of was ready
trapped.
there. Actually, he trapped a lot of these, but some probes actually going to find themselves stuck in there. That was fortunate, I guess, for Cham. Drogo messed up a little bit there with this.
A little bit. So this is 2 probes. It's he lost not just the Lings he made, to try and attack that didn't work out. The only map presence he has for quite a while.
I mean, Drogo is known for his aggression, right? Very rarely will he play super passively, but sadly for Cham, this was one of those games. I think he was probably hoping Drogo will make a depth walk across the map, in which case he could have killed them, even counter run by it or done some damage in the 3rd base on some probes. In this case, he just made links that didn't do much. They at least did something, right? They could have done 0 if this run-by attempt had happened and caught some of them.
Yeah, Cham is just not having like the greatest game basically right here. Everything that he's predicted or tried to defend against perfectly just has not happened. He lost drones to Oracles. He didn't macro up right afterwards, made army units that died without doing very much. And I mean, it's not a terrible game, but it's certainly, I think, a great feeling for Drogo right now. His 3rd base is up. He's getting his tech, getting his upgrades. There is a large Roach force coming on the way, it seems.
Yeah,
+1 and speed going to finish up in time.
He's not making drones anymore. He's only making units right now. You have to wonder, like, does he want to go into another kind of attack like we saw last game against the Drogo that I think he hopes will not reach the Immortal and, I guess, higher tech army counts on time? Yeah, it looks like it. He's just making units.
He is just making units. This is
this is bad, by the way. Like, Rojo sees like a pack of roaches on that base. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little suspicious. Of course, the Oracles, that's what's so good about the Oracles and having them being kept alive. They can actually scout things like this. So more and more roaches on the way, even though 4th base is actually a macro hatchery as well. So Cham certainly will have a lot of production to continue following with Roach push. But I think Drogo already has this army that's super well equipped to deal with it.
Sick. Gets the pylons at the front as well. One of the best ways to know if your opponent wants to be aggressive is to check their mineral saturation. And in this case, there is not a single drone right now on that 4th base of Cham with Drogo just spotted. So right now he's not making probes anymore. He made a ton of gateways to make sure he can produce enough units. He's got pylons at the front of his army. It might be time to actually moving back and setting up a couple stasis trap. Might have been great, but maybe a little bit too late for that. Cham on 108 army supply to Drogo's 65. And there's a couple of Ravagers in there to break those force fields. The overcharge, though, gonna be one of the greatest things here about T-Drogo's potential holes. That Void Ray is really nice as well, if you can keep on dodging Corrosive Bile.
I think it's the type of army here, and then suddenly with a Warp in, Drogo is only down 40 supply now, but with a really, really good army. He does send a couple of Corrosive Biles with force fields aggressively out into Cham's army. It's a little bit dangerous, but Immortals so far have not been touched. Pylons are only just starting to go down now. Finally, the sentries are going down, but the one still Guardian Shield working fine, and a couple more warp ins that I think Drogo will hold.
Yeah, he's not even dodging Corrosive Bile here for the most part. He was kind of sitting in there. The Void Ray still doing work here.
This Void Ray is taking care
He's
of
fighting
like
with Queen.
all of the reinforcements. I mean, he wasn't even fighting. Oh, okay, this is a bit of a mistake here. He wasn't fighting within the range of his Photon Overcharge. Was a bit of a mistake. He definitely was playing a little bit fast and loose with his defense, but the Immortal is saved. Well, that one isn't, I suppose.
And Drogo as hell, just like that, he chases back Cham, who's still not droning up. He's still making more units. It looks like he might just commit to this. But Drogo is 10 walkers ahead, and having held and having an Immortal count. I mean, that Void Ray, obviously, very hard to kill as well when you only have Ravagers to shoot at it. As long as Drogo's on point with dodging these Corrosive Bites, he's never going to lose that. So Drogo very confident now, starts +2, and he's in a great position in this game. 3 Archons on the way. Like, he's got so much economy and gas income that he can keep on getting these guys and charge lots to support them.
It doesn't surprise me at all that Cham tried to be aggressive twice in this game, I suppose, getting some sneaky things with his Lings within this attack, but after the beginning he had, I don't know if it was ever going to really, like, sometimes you see that timing right before the gateways finish or right before the third Immortal pops, something like that, and it's so clutch. But I actually think Drogo was, like, always going to have a great hold. I think the reason it even looked close at the end was that he stood in a couple of Corrosive Biles and away from the Photon Overcharge.
Let's see, this might be a little bit of an early attempt here of a fourth base by Drogo. He might be underestimating this a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see
scary.
If he has a couple overcharges, though, that's obviously going to be very helpful, forcing some of this Corrosive Bile. Does he sack it? Yeah, I think it looks like he might be evacuating. Or no, actually, this probe's still at long distance mining. He's going to try to hold there. I would have liked him to just pull back, realize that there's no economy from Cham, and if Drogo maxes out against a Lairtech Zerg, he would do fine anyway. Those Queens being taken down very fast, but they already took out the Void Ray.
Yeah, that was nice by the Queens. I don't know why he pushed into this. He's also missing a lot of buffer. He didn't have any force fields to help the Zealots. I think he once again pushed in too aggressively. The Immortals are still living, but maybe not for long. A lot of those Orcs are very low, and he needs another warp in. Oracle's going to come back and try and help out here, but one Immortal bites the dust. The second one does not have its barrier. It's going to go down, and Drogo might have just underestimated the follow-up Roach all in.
And he loses the Oracles to Corrosive Bile here because he didn't move them. He lost his very important Immortals, and behind his Cham, he's just going to swarm T-Drogo, who tried to take a fourth base a little bit too early there. I don't think he even could seize up this army. He looked at it and he was like, you know what? I can take that fight. No, he couldn't.
No. Especially like when I watch the Zealots just die as they try and charge in without the help of any force fields, I was like, that's the fun. It's going to protect those really important units. And I think if Drogo ends up losing this game, it would be a story of him just being a little too aggressive, having a little too much confidence. And what is it? Yeah, a very good army. Immortals, charge a lot, Archons, but just not quite enough of it. But the game's not over quite yet. Drogo does have +2, and he still has a couple of strong units.
Yeah, he's still ahead on the walker counts. That's how far ahead he was on that, even though he lost a couple of probes now. Still trying to regain some sort of Immortal count. He's up to 2 with the third one on the way from that Robo. He needs to dodge these Biles a little bit better, I would say. There's not that many Ravagers, so as long as he can do that consistently, the rest of the army shouldn't be able to do that much damage to the army that he has. But, I mean, look at the supply.
Yeah, now it's 60 supply down. Archons can add a lot. Man, if he had a Warp Prism, I'd be actually feeling pretty good about his Immortals too, but definitely missing some of that micro potential. He is being a lot more cautious with his Zealots. You can tell that he realized he's made mistakes in this game and is trying to be safer.
Cham is doing this really well as well. One of the best counters to charge lots when you're a Zerg is to have a lot of Roaches to kite. And look at this, he never full-on engages. He just attacks, snipes a couple Zealots, pulls back, makes sure he has Bile covering his retreats. And T-Drogo can never get the proper engagement. Like, if Cham stood there and fought with his entire army and never moved back, T-Drogo might actually be able to clean this up. But because Cham keeps on kiting, he's going to keep on being cost-effective. And he has enough bites to afford to do this. He tries for a time warp, but by the time it loads, Cham should have been able to get out of there, but he actually kind of delayed the retreat, so Drogo's going to chase him.
That was actually probably one of the better time warps I've seen in the last year, probably, but it doesn't quite help kill any of those units. Drogo's going to try and sneak in a fourth base, and it does credits. Cham has not sent any units over there, so it might just get underway, and he still has 58 probes to send over there, but his Militia Corps already took a lot of damage.
Thank Dodge Bile.
Yeah, exactly. Gateways are actually pretty important to tear down, but
Drogo needs to stay patient, I think. If he reaches like a crazy amount of Immortals, like 8, this army from Cham is gonna die very fast. Like all he has to do then is dodge Corrosive Bile, and he might have enough to defend. But I mean, even though the army of Cham is 142 to the Drogo's 90, Cham cannot take a really bad fight. He cannot fight like in a bad choke and give too much surface area here to that Protoss army. So that's why he's staying patient. But the more he waits, the more Drogo is going to catch up on the army supply. Cham being maxed out on roaches here. He needs to fight now, but he can't fight inside of that choke here. If he actually moves there and fights all the time, Drogo, like I said, there is a good chance he's going to clean up.
Yeah, I think about a minute ago, as he realized he wasn't going to break Drogo there, he probably should have thought about a macro game. He is on 4 bases, so the economy's there, just that his tech isn't there at all.
Loses one.
Yeah, he's loses the other one. Oh, the Lings backed off. Should have sacrificed themselves. Exactly. But now Cham knows about this base. Of course, Drogo has to change defensive position, but now he has a ramp and high ground, so this is still not something that Cham, I think, is really going to be able to break.
Drogo's supply is not really scary. He's on +2 against only the +1 missile of Cham there. He's managed to stay very well grouped with most of his army. The immortal count, though, he stopped working on it for some reason. He's on 5, which obviously is still very scary.
Yeah.
Especially when you have this many Archons at the front. It feels like these immortals should never be reached as long as he dodges by, but he's throwing away a lot of zealots there.
Yeah, definitely a mistake right there. I think he was afraid maybe that the 3rd base would have been sniped. Finally, we have some type of transition coming out from Cham, so he is taking 2 bases as well as tunneling claws. And I don't know if I've seen an observer. If it's there, it's with the army. It hasn't been thrown forward. No observer.
I haven't seen one. I think there is no cannon of the ramp of T-Drogo, possibly, which means like if roaches shark into that position, into bases, they might start doing some damage. But oh, he looked like he was going to get cornered here for a second. Actually, Drogo's going to move right in there.
Drogo has been looking for this the last 2 times they fought near this ramp, but every single time Cham just barely scoots out of the way and is not going to go towards that 3rd base. I don't think he can ever commit and kill the Nexus with such a grand army right behind him, but it was a fear, certainly.
I'm a little bit surprised we don't see Drogo counter-attacking across the map with some of these Zealots, because for the most part, they just kind of get in there and die instantly against this army, but right now he's on the chase. He doesn't want to let Cham get away. He knows that if he cleans this up, he's going to be in a great position. I like that he brings the Mothership Core with this in case he really gets in trouble. He actually can recall out of there. Yeah,
that's actually a really nice move, but damn, you see this many Archons and what you wouldn't give to go ahead and get a couple of Ghosts as a Zerg player, but that's not going to happen. And he's further advancing his Roach tech here, but his Roach tech is really just... There's 6 Immortals now, I believe, as well as like maybe 10 Archons. Like, I don't know if Roach is really going to do that well anymore. I was 1 off for each of those. Of course I was. But point is, it's a very scary Protoss army, and that 4th base being up and secured, too, is quite bad for Cham.
Y'all want some more of those roaches?
Yeah. Just make more roaches. That's the way to go, Cham. I really... Like, the Tunneling Claws was cool when he had that pressure when he was controlling Drogo's side of the map, but I really still think he should have tried to get up to something else. I don't know, I don't know about Lurkers, but maybe Infestors for Fungal and Burrow would have been really cool, or maybe even like a desperate attempt against the Hive.
His economy was so low, but I think like using the Tunneling Claws and Burrow was going to be very important. There are a couple of Archons actually get surrounded. Cham's really been making the most out of this army here and using its mobility. Now gonna get into the gold base. He's gonna target it down and actually get it. But can his army get away behind this? Drogo looking to try and catch this on the left-hand side with a lot of those Immortals.
Yeah, very nice maneuver by Drogo, but oh, there's the lack of Observer.
He might have seen it.
I think he did. That's why he immediately started an Observer.
Oh, no.
But and he can't wall off his main as well, so Roach is doing it in every single crevice. Can Drogo clean this up fast enough?
And the gold base still being under assault here from some of these roaches. The Archons cannot go up the high ground actually into those bases, so it's going to be mostly Zealots, which are not the best against roaches. As long as they can get into close quarters, I guess they're going to be able to clean up these gateways. He's going to empower them here in a second, I think.
Oh my god. One Observer could have really made this so much easier for Drogo, and now everything is actually flipped back into Cham's control here.
And Drogo's actually going to counter-attack across the map, which exposes him to maybe losing a lot here if Cham is able to regroup, properly flank into this army and punish this.
Does he have a Mothership Core here? If he does, then I like it. If he doesn't, then maybe it's a little bit too bold. He does not. I mean, it's still an anti-Roach army, but there's no support. There's not even a War Prism, so I think it's still better than trying to clean everything up back at home, and the Roaches are still very scared. They're actually going to just completely retreat. Yeah. This might just be a real base trade, as Cham realizes his Roach army can't quite deal with it. Does he notice a lack of Observer?
He snipes a very important base and is still on the hunt here against these Roaches. Across the map, there are Roaches attacking the third base of Drogo right now.
Yeah, but they're
dealt with this pretty well.
Yeah.
And it looks like he might have somehow come back in this game after what looked like a sick throw.
I think if he spends all that time with his main army, just taking care of the main and the natural and the third and the tunneling claws, that buys Cham so much more time to maybe, as you keep talking about, like get better tech or maybe more corrosive vials, a bigger concave. Yeah, just recall. He might not even have to. Well, now he has to. Yeah.
Peace.
See ya. But instead, he went for that attack and just had faith that the cleanup would happen back with reinforcements, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
He lost his gold base, but had this fourth up and running around the time that he lost the gold, and his income has been steady, if not fantastic, but steady enough to clean up those tunneling claws roaches.
Oh, he actually recalled again onto that fourth base, because otherwise he was going to have to break one of the gateways in his wall for the Archons to go through. I like this choice. Actually, I wouldn't even think. I've thought about this. Very nicely done. That immortal count, though, against this many roaches, when you have Zealots and Archons to help, is just ideal. And Drogo on point as well, knowing that Cham must be getting desperate and was going to get some roaches into his main to try and come back somehow in this game.
Yeah, nice prediction right there. GG! Drogo gave France quite a scare multiple times in that game, but takes it.
I was getting a little bit tilted, I have to say. In my mind, I was like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, it was a great setup.
I'm going to flame you really bad if you lose this. Like,
it was a great setup of a game, and then he just got, I think, a little bit too confident in some of those earlier engagements. Of course, it was like a 15-minute game when all said and done, but...
Drogo was in perfect control. I really think that the biggest mistake there clearly was when he tried to take that fourth base. And it's not even like, he got surprised by an army that engaged into him directly. He was literally sitting there. He had a good chance to seize up the size of the army of the Zerg, and then decided whether he needed to take the fight or not. And he chose to take a fight that I think was just really bad. If he had just pulled back, waited 1 or 2 more minutes, made more units, there was not going to be any losing this game for him. So somehow he still stayed patient, made enough Immortals and Archons to defeat this unholy Roach army.
Unholy.
And came back.
Yeah, I also, kudos to Drogo on some aspects, I suppose. Not the other overconfidence part, but on the patience. But I feel like Cham, at one point, he had a lot of money in the bank, and he never really made a transition. But, well. So a couple of tweets coming in, of course. France win. I'll let you do the French.
Allez la France!
What?
Allez les baguettes, salut d'un Français qui vient en Allemagne. Oh, a Frenchman that lives in Germany tweeting at us. He's got his flag out. That's the way I like to see you guys watching games.
Well, there we go. Go Mexico. It is tied up now, so still in it. And that's maybe last one. Oh, okay. Well, none of us speak Spanish. Darn.
Vamos muchachos. He's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Viva Mexico!
Like I see these words and I know I could try and pronounce them, and I could maybe do like a solid 7 out of 10, right? But I just don't want to try. I don't want to put myself in that position.
A lot of people struggle actually with other languages, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to mention someone, but let's not go there.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Yeah, so now it's, I guess, time to find out whether it's Gym Rising coming out or Major. Next map will be Whirlwind. I guess it's equal. Like as Protoss, you will not, I think, be happy against either race on Whirlwind, right? It's a 4-player map on which you need to get like a lucky scout and stuff. So I would say probably a Zerg though.
I would say Gym Rising, yeah. Plus
most likely.
Save Major
maybe
for
Major
last.
feels confident. Maybe he wants to get right onto business instead
he
of
wants
waiting.
to get the all kill. Send me out, coach. Gym Rising is, I guess, the captain. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're choosing who goes out. It's usually more of a team
It's just a discussion, usually.
Yeah, exactly. There we go, 2-1.
Gym Rising or Major.
Major.
And Major is going to be coming out on Whirlwind. Sick, all right. A big match coming up here between potentially the best player from both teams. That's going to be after the break, though, so we'll see you guys in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
And welcome back to StarCraft 2 Nation Wars. France versus Mexico. Tied up 1-1 at the moment. I just got out all my hype out of my system down there. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible, but it will be hard.
I was going to say, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Well, you're here to replace, I guess, Todd's...
Todd's bias?
I don't know. No, not as... No. You're not, of course, yours is going to be the same, right? No, Todd, a bit of critique, right? A little bit, not negative, but Drogo, I swear to God, if you lose this, I swear to you're just going to be Drogo, you can do this! You're going to be a supportive friend. That's what it is.
Exactly.
There it is.
I'm more of a, support, and Todd actually it puts you even more down. When you're feeling down, it's well, you suck, man. It's normal. Really? I thought we were friends. 70% of you guys think that France will take it. That's actually way more than just before. It was 50-50.
Was it?
Or about? No?
I don't
I think
remember
first
seeing
game
it
it was like
honest.
really close, like maybe 60-40, and now 70-30. So I guess the hype is getting to everybody, and maybe you can hear a little bit about the French stream downstairs. Everybody's just yelling. We will be playing on Whirlwind. Really cool map for PVT, but I guess I actually don't like that map on Drogo.
I don't like it. I think Drogo is a rock and a hard place, right? Like face Zerg or Terran on this map. It just was gonna suck for him no matter what. But here we are in this third game of this Nation War. It's all tied up, and in the top right, as the blue Protoss, he is Drogo.
And in the bottom left is a Dark Angel from Mexico. All killed friends in Nation Wars 2. He's out again, and he's out for blood. This is Major.
Yeah. I do think that Zerg on Whirlwind may be even a bit scarier, but I guess maybe Major's like, you're done. Like, get out of the way, all right? I'm going to 4-0 these guys. It'll be no problem. We'll see.
Yeah, also because just in terms of like raw skill between Jim Rising and Major, I think like I wouldn't mind any game for Drogo against any map for Drogo against Jim Rising, but because I do think that the skill difference between those two is not going to matter. But with Major on a map where he will be able to show like multi-pronged aggression and harassment everywhere, this is a map that actually scares me a little, because Major is the kind of Terran that can do it all. Like, he's got really, really cool army management and army control in general, even though he shows a little bit of weaknesses, I guess, in late game ZVT against Infestors and Vipers, but I guess who doesn't?
Yeah.
But against Protoss, like, relentless aggression and then like really, really well executed like frontal pushes, and I think Whirlwind for this is a really great map.
Yeah, I think Major can play any style of Terran. I think he's quite a good Terran, but this is going to be more about drops and harassment and multi-pronged attacks, which is what Whirlwind lends itself to. But that's kind of like the good news is that, while that's going to be super tough for Drogo to deal with, at least he doesn't really have to worry about those abusive tank positions, like on Overgrowth, or like, maybe he can get a good concave or a surprise attack in the middle of the map against Liberator Army, which if they're already set up, then you're just in a choke again, like you're not having a great time as Protoss. And that's certainly what I brought up in the last series, as I thought about who would come out next, is that it's not just Drogo versus Major, a very good Terran, it's Drogo versus Terran, which a lot of Protosses nowadays are just kind of saying, yeah, we're all in agreement here, it sucks. We don't like it.
Yeah, I believe Zest might be, the spokesman of PvT sucks these days, because we can kind of remember him at the beginning of the year being around like 95% win ratio in PvT, and now loses to slightly worse players, I guess, and also dropping a game yesterday against Canada, and Semper being Terran 2-0. That Reaper might get the scouts that he needs, which is the Stargate that has been dropped down by Drogo behind, and yeah, this is a scout. The block with the Pro was so sick, I didn't even see it coming.
That was amazing. Okay, so it's a little funny though. The lack of immediate photon overcharge is already, I would say, a little suspicious to most Terrans. Yeah. Like, I went into a pylon, you're just supposed to kill me right off the bat, but I'll see if that means he will. He say, well, here's the thing: if he's playing smart, and of course Major I think would play smart, right? If you don't know what the Protoss is doing, just leave a Widow Mine in your natural. If you're absolutely sure they're going for a Stargate, then leave both Widow Mines in your natural. So this really shouldn't be doing a lot of damage. There's a slight timing where if Major's really playing fast and loose, Whirl could do a lot of damage, but we're on a very big map, cross position. That timing, I don't know if it's going to be there.
There's going to be 3 Widow Mines, to be honest. Like, one will be dropped, and that's a really cool scout from Drogo's forward pylon, which actually means, and that's what I was about to say, I think Drogo will, just be aggressive a little bit more with those forward whoppings, with 2 Stalkers, I believe, being whopped in at the moment. That Oracle, let's see where it goes, because there's a lot of Widow Mines everywhere. I don't think there is one in the main. This is all the Marines, and Widow Mine actually connected to an Adept, and that's a dead bunker, at least a bunker that's not producing at the moment. And at the same time, Widow Mine drop at the opposite side of the map. No detection for the French Terran at the French Protoss at the moment. Just an Oracle. Let's see if he gets a proper revelation for it.
All right, so he's just gonna leave it. Okay, I was gonna say. So I think the home defense has been solidified with that bunker finishing. It's still a little bit scary because, like, what if you don't take it seriously and they come in with like 2-3 more warp-ins? But he's able to focus on this micro of the Widow Mine. As long as he doesn't lose the medevac, then more power to him. But he's being a little dangerous with this. He knows it was a Stargate opener, and there could be Phoenixes.
All right, Stalker is actually trying to run by those Widow Mines, and nice bait in the main with the Medivac emptied, with the Widow Mine actually burrowed on the third base location. So Drogo going for a little bit more aggression with those Stalkers, giving one away for free, but also 2 SCVs going down, which means that Drogo, in terms of economy, is doing pretty well for himself. 50 to 34.
Yeah, it is a...
The Medivac is also nice.
That was not supposed to happen, I can tell you that much. Major thought he was totally fine once he got dodged out of the Phoenix range, but... So I was wondering, like, will this nice economy, you know, the 16 probe lead here actually translate to what is delayed tech? Of course, he opened up with the Stargate, and then he warped in so many Stalkers. It wasn't like he was throwing down his Blink follow-up or what have you super quickly after. And it might just be, especially if he can get this third base up and running, which with Major's timing on his stim, it should be up and saturated maybe even before Major feels super confident pushing out.
Once again, a Stalker dying to a mine. This one wasn't revealed by the Oracles earlier. The 2 on the top of the ramp have been revealed, but there's also quite a bit of Marines here, so not going to take that fight. Getting that Widow Mine instead, that's a lot of Revelation that he used ever since the beginning of the game. Nice micro from Drogo that actually has that high ground vision. Thanks to the Revelation, but this time messing up a little bit his micro, giving a Stalker for free. Drogo is just pushing relentlessly here.
Yeah, that Viking should be landed and repaired. It does quite well against Stalkers now, but of course Drogo has to be careful. If Stim does finish up and his blinkless Stalkers are still here, they could be in a lot of trouble, but I'd hope that he's pretty aware of that. He's just waiting for the last second. Stim is finishing up now. Well, let's say that he pushes in, tries to get that Widow Mine, gets it, but...
Well, he should know. He should know that Stim is about to finish. That's a nice free Marauder, free Marines. Like, everything is free in our Mexican Terran base at the moment. One Marauder, once again.
Oh,
like
my God.
Is he trying to bait or something? Pose from Drogo at the moment. He gets a lot of mine destroyed. What's going on here? We will know in a few seconds. I don't really know. I don't really know the reason. He didn't mention anything in terms of, like, I don't know, like hotkeys or something. We will know in a couple of seconds. But if we just think about the game in general, we've got 3 Nexuses, I guess, Nexi from Drogo. Nobody knows, right?
I don't think so. It's Colossus-Colossi debate. No one knows.
Apparently he's got a problem with his cat that jumped on him or something. Like, I don't even know if that's a joke or something, but...
It's going to be totally real.
All right, we're going back straight to the game with triple Nexus and relentless aggression with those Stalkers without Blink, and a couple of seconds from now, 2 seconds to be fair, Stim Pack is completed, and now this is a moment where you don't want to be a roaming Stalker at the opposite side of a map.
That was actually super perfect, though. Like, I was going to give a lot of credit to Drogo right before his cat jumped on his lap or whatever it was, because that was just, it was like a split second. He got 2 Marauders. He's kind of messing up here, losing a couple probes or Widow Mine, but still, it was like 2 Marauders, a handful of Marines, Widow Mine or 2. Those are really effective non-blink Stalkers, and he got out with them, too. And it's also by a bit more time. His Colossus is on the way, his +1, and Blink is on the way. But it's not ready now, and Major still has a very fearsome army even after all those free picks.
Exactly. Well, a fearsome army, as you mentioned. Oh, those Oracles, one will go down, the second one will escape, and once again, nice revelation and Doom drop to the main, but those are mostly empty Medivacs, and that Phoenix, is he going to get the scout that Drogo needs? I believe he will. Yes, he will. Drogo knows. And Drogo has to come back. And we can see the Stalkers coming back from the natural with the Blink upgrade, finishing in a couple of seconds. This could be super dangerous for Major.
Yeah, I don't know if I really like this no matter what happens. I don't think his ground army is powerful enough to take on all of Drogo, so I guess he was really hoping to get Drogo completely out of position.
Oh, that's nice.
These Marines are going to try and be clever, but they have Revelation on them, so a Depth and a Colossus is really all you need, not even microed, so most of them are going to die here, and Drogo finds himself in a pretty good position. He has double Robos pumping out Colossus right now. Well, he's going to have like 3 Colossus before he gets Thermal Lance. That's quite severe, but Major, I don't know, like, he's trying to build Vikings now. He's getting a 2nd starport already. He does have his 3rd almost up and running. It's going to go to late game PvT, it seems.
Yeah, late game PvT, but also like that old school kind of PvT with double starport reactor with Viking production to fend off those Colossus that, yeah, are making a little bit of a comeback somehow in the PvT matchup. Most of the units from Major going to the 4th base location will take down that pylon. At the same time, double Liberator about to siege up, but I think Drogo knows and he will pounce on them. He should do it now, and he will go for it. 1 Liberator will go down, 2nd one also, just for the price of 1 Stalker, I believe. And once again, nice revelation. Drogo on top of things in terms of defense at the moment, but not that much energy on that mothership core, and really important buildings too here.
I was going to say, you might want to focus on down that forge, and he does, even if he was a little bit late to it. Unfortunately, can't get the Twilight Council as well, and this looks like a good split from Drogo, including a Guardian Shield. Unfortunately, didn't take care of that Widow Mine. These units, I don't know what they're really doing, but they should die.
Sometimes I think, like, Terran player remember that they can do exactly the same as Zerglings, just running by random units without medivac. I actually like it pretty well. Like,
wow.
Get a couple of Marines, you stim them, and then shift A-click some workers, and you get a lot of free economy out of it. Extended thermal lens will finish in a couple of seconds. Resonating lens also. Prism in the production tab. Zombie.
Yeah.
I think that means we're gonna see a push out from Drogo.
It might just... He knows where the army, or some of the army is, a good portion of the army is, and he's about to be able to scout just how many Vikings are available. He has 3 Colossus, but he also has these upgrades on his Stalkers and Adepts too, Resonating Glaives and Blink. +1 versus 1/1, so a bit of disadvantage right there, and Drogo might have been a little too aggressive for his own good. Gonna lose all 3 sentries right there.
Yeah, that hurts quite a bit, but he still has a Guardian Shield available, and those units are stuck in the back. Nice revelation, once again, getting some really critical information on the positioning of the opposite side's army, but he needs to go back. Like, still no Prism. Where is it? I think it's a little bit to the north. Did he join? No, that's another Colossus. He needs that Prism super bad, to be honest. Yeah, it's here.
Actually got super weak. That's a little
probably
dangerous.
hit a Widowmine hit.
Yeah, maybe that one. That one has been hitting a lot of units. It's killed one, okay, but like it's hit a lot, I'm pretty sure. So it's also interesting. Drogo going to continue expanding kind of towards his opponent, just down to the south. I actually like that maneuver if that's where their armies are going to be. And it ends up not being a bad poke. He got the 3rd base to lift off. He lost those sentries, which sucks, but at least they're both getting to that almost max out point where like a couple of lost units here and there can be replaced. Warp Prism Harassment's pretty effective. Pulls the army. Well, I guess the army actually wasn't even moving forward, but it's 8 SCVs, 9, maybe 10.
Yes. Don't ever underestimate, Adepts with the Resonating Glaives. Just here, like, doing tremendous amount of work. 10 SCVs is actually something that will slow down Major quite a bit. 4th base is getting scanned by Major, so he knows exactly the position he is in. Drogo is adding some disruptor to his composition, and I think that's a really good idea considering the map. This is the kind of map you will get chased down by Terrans when you are starting to lose a fight, and disruptor actually say no. Quite hard to, chasing armies in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we did have any possible ghosts on the way, they also can help a lot with that. And as we get to, late game maxed out 4 base versus 4, there's a potential for ghosts to be sprinkled in basically with the Terran army. A good drop goes into the natural. That's not usually where you expect to be dropped, especially at 13 minutes in the game. And they could get a lot of essential tech, both robos.
Yeah, 2 gateways, 2 robos, no production. I think Drogo will have to go quite all in on this one, or at least not trying to defend that much against that army. The Vikings will go for a suicide mission, trying to get as many Colossus as possible. The Adept shade in to the bio. He needs to use the disruption. None of his own units, to be honest. And now everything gets cleared out from Major. That triple drop still doing damage in the background, but doesn't matter if you're losing everything in the opposite side of the map.
I don't think it does. Nothing could really take care of that Adept count. EMPs would have helped there. Widow Mines would have helped. I actually thought he was doing kind of an okay job as the Vikings check out the Colossus, with the Colossus doing much damage, but the ground army was still too powerful, and what's left over by Major is just not going to be enough.
Drogo playing an amazing game on this one. Will try to break Major right here and right now. Blinking forward on that Liberator. Targeting it down, and now nothing to go. GG! Drogo and friends takes the advantage 2-1. Sick. Really, really cool game from Drogo, to be honest. Like, Major obviously playing a pretty decent game himself, and I think that triple drop maneuver on the natural was really great to do, but it clearly wasn't enough. And not having that, that forward position where you can defend with all your Liberators and everything, like actually starting a proper base trade, he couldn't really achieve that because he got crushed and got demolished super fast. Prob Micro, one of the sexiest I've ever seen.
It was. That was really cool. I think Major just anticipated being able to scout that. But the Stalker Micro, I think, was a lot sexier than that one single probe, especially the timing at which he pulled back and the fact that his cat was apparently ready to bother him. It was all pretty nice stuff. It was just a really clean game. This is the type of game where you really believe that Drogo is feeling good today and that he can take the 4-0 for himself. Like, he beat Major once, but but it was such a clean, nice game for the most part that I would say you could definitely do it again. And it was on Whirlwind too, where like Major did try to abuse the map a little bit. He tried those drops, but Drogo always had a very nice split and had the right amount of scouting to respond appropriately.
Yeah, we were mentioning the same thing on the French stream just a little bit before, after game 2. We tend to say that Drogo is a guy that tilts, and he played a really tilting game against Cham, I would say, in this PvZ, not being able to fight properly and being on the verge of getting eliminated and killed by this all-in from Cham. Here, like, you get dropped on the back, you're literally at the opposite side of the map. You can't really go back and defend, and that's also a pretty bad decision, I guess, in general, if you try to do it. But he didn't question himself, you know. He went for it and instantly won the game. And that's something that I could have seen, like, past Drogo, or I guess, like, not too comfortable kind of Drogo would, like, you know, hesitate and probably take the wrong decision in the end.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So my experience is the real tilt factor has come from an actual loss. You know, it's a best of 5 and he loses against the Zerg, and it's just like, oh, Zerg, they're going to win no matter what. Yeah, if he had lost against Cham, I would have just actually written off a Drogo 6 months ago from the revive. I've just been like, no, you wouldn't feel it, you know, like roaches, right? But no, this Drogo looks actually very strong and very, very stable, which I guess is the word I've been using for him a lot lately. And
comfortable and comfortable and you know, in peace. And at the moment, it's showing he's playing a really, really decent best of 7 at the moment, carrying France a little bit with 2 wins in a row. Batnimals, vamos Mexico, vamos at Cham SC2. Obviously, raise your baguettes for my insanity, Petit Drogo, with the Frenchiest look of all time. I was expecting him to wear the beret in the interview, but he did not.
in the interview, yeah.
He did not in the end. He's more like serious business, because obviously you go to BlizzCon, you like replacing 2 players, so I guess you weren't supposed to be here. Probably don't have that much pressure. This year, first qualification as a French player for the national team, and also probably going to be the carry of the team. So he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulder, so he's all business here.
Yeah, it seems like it, and he's doing a really good job in all business. We're in the, what is this, the 4th game, that's right, and in the bottom left, as the Blue Protoss, he is, you know what, why am I doing this? Why don't you do this one?
In the bottom left, for France, as the Blue Protoss, this is Petit Drogo!
There it is. And in the top right, as the Red Zerg, he is Jim Rising.
Vamos, Jim Rising. We'll see if he can do something about the Petit Drogo, and what's the plan? What's the trick that he has to use? Because I do believe that on a macro game, on a proper normal, like, you know, regular situation that you get in a PvZ, I don't see Jim Rising winning. Like, Cham could do it, obviously. With the quality of the plays from Major, he obviously can do it, but I feel like Jim Rising probably the weakest link in the team. And I expect something different. I expect a cheese. I expect something aggressive to finish off the game, because if Drogo is able to beat somebody like Snoot, for instance, during BlizzCon, I don't think Jim Rising, even in a best of 1, is that frightening.
Yeah, if he's going to go like a standard path, and I absolutely agree. But Jim Rising, I'm going to used to cast him quite a bit. He was never quite standard. It was things like 2-base Muta versus Protoss, which has never really truly been a thing. And weird stuff against Terran and sometimes even versus Zerg too. But I do actually remember, and mostly for his EVP and like base trades as well, back when Muta base trades were the thing to do in this matchup. I think Drogo like knows enough about Jim Rising too to know like that much. These guys probably don't play each other a lot. Of course, different servers, and Jim Rising just I guess he's been streaming a lot lately, but not playing in a ton of like online tournaments. But I think he's like heard enough probably to know to be a little on edge about the weirder things. And really, as long as you have that mental, you know, knowledge, you get that knowledge that they're going to play a little weird. Sometimes just that knowledge in itself is good enough. Like, you don't really have to change anything. Maybe scout once or twice more, but really just make sure you're playing a safe build.
And that's why I was a little bit critical of what Marine Lord tried to do against Cham, like going for that super greedy triple CC double eBay build, which is, of course, if it pays off, like if you don't die, like literally, and right after that, I would argue that Marine Lord will have a pretty sizable chance of winning in a mid-game or even late-game scenario against Cham, but also exposed himself to to that aggressive strategy. So Drogo, yeah, not gonna go for anything like resonating glaives or anything. Just gonna go for the most standard builds of them all, the Robo, DT, and we'll see that Archon drop. And he's been on top of his control ever since the beginning of the games that he's been playing, and I think it's a really good opening for him.
Yeah. It's a very solid opener, even when scouted, which clearly this one is with no problem whatsoever. And Jim Rising just has to show us how well he can defend against it. It's kind of the first test of the Zerg, is do they take damage from the DTs, and then how much damage do they take from the follow-up Archons. We have fast +1, but nothing too out of the ordinary for Zerg, and so far Jim Rising is just playing a solid macro game against the guy, and this is what we're talking about. We're not too confident for Jim Rising in this.
Yeah, he is playing that super standard style of +1 melee. We'll play mostly with Zerglings and Banelings throughout this game. We'll see if he adds on some drops. I don't think that Speed Overload has been researched, and we'll see if he adds it in the future and goes for drops and try to abuse the opportunity to kill some economy from the sides. But as Kevin is showing us, not that many overalls available at the moment. One to the left, one to the right, and now we're gonna try to get a cancel on that third Nexus, and already that's a pretty good timing. All the DTs have been warped in at the opposite side of the map. That pylon will save the day.
Yeah. It's too bad. Only one pylon. Maybe you could surround if you had like 10-15 more Lings. But of course, then that would have been maybe too much dedicated to their side of the field when there's two Archons automatically warped in. I'm a little surprised they didn't try the DT thing, or at least for a second there, but the Archons could have been a big enough surprise. He only has Lings to deal with this, but I think it's a surround.
It gets a cute surround, but it's a little bit different when you have to face a Prism micro like this, because the Archons are actually wherever they want. They will get picked up from afar. Don't want to lose that Archon earlier in the game just for Zerglings. And that's a pretty nice defense, considering Jim Rising didn't even build a Roach Warren. Yeah. He built a Spine, which I think is pretty important if you don't have any Roaches, but didn't lose that much. Didn't lose a Queen, didn't lose drones. Pretty nice defense from Jim Rising, proving us wrong.
Sure. This is a very interesting follow-up. Not the first time I've seen it, but always curious to see added on Archons. Like usually you want to be starting your other tech and, getting the Immortal and whatnots. But 4 Archons, one of them fairly weak, but still 4 Archons, and the War Prism Micro. If you know that they're only going to stick on Lings, that they don't have a Roach one that's only just finished up and are going to start adding those on, Archons will absolutely destroy the army.
Archons and Zealots, like we see 4 Zealots. You anticipated that Spire in PvZ, and that's probably the technology that Jim Rising will go for, but he needs to defend against 4 Archons and 4 Zealots with not a single Roach on the field, and it's gonna be super hard for Jim Rising. Let's see if he can make it happen. Those 2 Archons getting surrounded to the left, and 4 Queens will target down that Prism. I think that's a dead Prism, but doesn't matter. Those 4 Archons just destroyed everything that was available. Nice splash damage on the drones. 5 already going down, and more will follow for sure.
Clearly, Jim Rising thought that after dealing with the first 2 Archons, he wouldn't really have to deal with anything more than that, and he was absolutely wrong. I do think that is one of the weaknesses of just trying to defend with pure Ling. Now, he looks like he's going to be able to finally clean this up. The Archons are losing their shields, and they go down very quickly after that, but he took so much damage. I don't think Jim Rising has had his Spire revealed yet, though, and that's like the one thing here that might help him out.
Yeah, that worries me a little bit, and Drogo should know, like, where is all your gas, mate? I see Zerglings, I see Queens, and one single upgrade, no Banelings either. He should know that Mutalisk are on the play, but at the moment, still going for charge, no cannons, lots of gateways, obviously, but he doesn't have anything to defend against the high mobility of Mutalisk, and that's a good opportunity to Jim Rising to climb back into this game.
Yeah, it is. But starting off with only 8, maybe if he was confident it wasn't scouted and it wasn't going to be scouted, I would really love if he had just waited even further, because you just aren't expecting Mutalisk. But Lings actually get in. That was definitely a hole in the wall. It was a mistake on Drogo's part. His army wasn't too far out of position, but this is just continuing to keep his mind off of scouting potential weird scenarios like Mutas. They're going to actually be coming into the main base now. Again, I kind of wish they would have waited, but they find all the gateways without turning into a warp gate quite yet, so there's not too much in the way of production here, and he's just on top of the sentries as well.
Okay, we'll lose lose one Mutalisk to force to sentries and a pylon right there, building some cannons a little bit in the panic right now. He needs to build stalkers, and he's doing it so right now. But that third base is super exposed at the moment. Only one cannon and a stalker. Jim Rising decides to go for the economy, but loses one more Mutalisk. I'd say it's not that bad for Drogo. It could have gone so much worse.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that could have been, if he had saved his drones, or if he had, again, just waited a little bit longer and bulked up the Mutalisk, and it's suddenly like 16 Mutas to a very surprised Protoss, that could be a very different story. All the sentries would have died, the gateways might have been depowered, and then the Mothership Core also could have been sniped, but with only 8, that's never really going to happen. At most, you're going to get a couple of probe kills. So, while Jim Rising technically got the surprise Spire in Drogo's face, Drogo has this very stable economy, and still has a fairly strong army that he pushed across the map with. As long as he had a Warp Prism to warp in more Stalkers, might still be able to win.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to go for the frontal attack, saying that, yeah, Jim Rising invested a little bit too much in those units that will not do well in a frontal fight. Can he get the Prism? Oh, that's super, super lucky for Drogo right there. Not losing the Prism at the moment the Prism comes out of the Robo. Still some units will cross the map, but does he have any anti-air with that army?
I don't think so. That's all the Stalkers.
That's such a YOLO move.
Yeah, something that Jim Rising might notice. He has a couple of Banelings on the way to take care of the charge. There's only 2 Archons to take care of the Mutas.
Drogo is taking a lot of risk right there. Only 2 Archons to defend against all those Mutalisks, and now Banelings and Zerglings will actually come in. What is this? The Blink Stalkers actually made it out of the base. I think that's all the Blink Stalkers that's just here. And I'm saying Blink Stalkers, but I don't even believe they do have Blink. He starts it right now.
Yeah, they definitely don't. That was actually kind of a nice hold by Drogo, but this might still be too big of an army for him to take on. I mean, like, he didn't use the Banelings. He just let the Lings take care of the Zealots that came forward. If only these Mutas were a little bit faster and have already taken care of the Archons, but even still, that's a really big non-Blink Stalker army with +2. And Jim Rising might just not have an answer for this.
But that's the beginning of a good answer, I think.
Yeah?
Sniping that Prism and making sure that there's not going to be any reinforcements. Drogo thinks that he can go for it. There's a lot of Banelings with the upgrades. Speed Banelings, he needs a perfect force field. And those are perfect force fields at the moment. Immortals and Archons soaking up all the damage. Does he have enough Stalkers to take down those Mutalisks? It looks like he does. It's super, super close. The Zerglings actually turning the fight for Jim Rising and Mexico.
Wow, he actually manages to hold on. The last few Stalkers are taking out a couple of last few Mutas and really making this into a trade. The Immortals would have been better off trying to maybe target fire the hatchery. Now he's going to start target firing drones. There you go. But that was actually not bad. Drogo with a couple of clutch force fields, but Jim Rising with the combined Ling plus Glaive Worm damage really took care of that, again, non-Blink Stalker army. Those have Blink or the Warp Prism still alive. That's a very different fight.
Jim Rising definitely making it easier on himself by sniping that Prism. If there was like at least 8 or 10 Stalkers more than this, it would have been crazy hard for him to defend that push properly. Those Mutalisks will actually snipe a really important pylon. Will power up 6 gateways and a Templar Archive. Doesn't really matter for the Templar Archive. He wasn't researching Storm or anything, but getting a lot of, winning a lot of time for himself right there. And building a bigger Mutalisk count, and now Zergling getting set up on the north side to go for some counterattacks. Like Jim Rising is playing a superb game.
Yeah, he is. And what's super important is that he's buying time to actually potentially get to that super scary Mutalisk counts. You know, before he had taken so much damage from the Archons, and then I was always afraid that Drogo would push out like he did. Barely, almost.
Skinny Zealot this time, and will not block the ramp, and now go for the fight in the main base. He's about to snipe the Forge with a +3 attack. Jim Rising, so good with this technical and critical decision making. First the Prism, now the Forge and the Pylon that was powering all those gateways. Now blocked Archons will not be able to help, just watching from afar.
Stupid Archons.
Stupid Archons.
I guess they're fat, not stupid. But anyways, the Mutas, I think they can actually get out still. I may be afraid of a couple of Photon Overcharges or a couple of cannons, but this is a bit of a difficult situation for him. He has 6 more Mutas on the way, still wants to have this really critical mass of Mutas, but okay, there we go.
He will escape. That was a nice play. That was a nice play.
Extra cautious. So this is of course, we start talking about, since Drogo did not win the game yet, and he's still only relying on Blink Stalkers, if Jim Rising gets up to like 30 mutas, for instance, and they got like the +1, +2, more probes going down, if he initiates a base trade, it might not be one that he can win, but it might be something that he's forced into.
This is looking harder and harder for both players. This game is super tense. Like, there's opportunity for both players to I believe, to win this game. I agree with you that this Mewtwo count rising and never ceasing to rise. It's actually getting a little bit worrisome for Drogo, because this is definitely a game that could go into a base trade. Those Mutalisks, they need to be microed instantly. Nice blink forward and nice micro from Jim Rising, pulling some of those Mutalisks that were hurt in the back, but still losing, I believe, like a couple, probably 3 in the process.
Yeah, that was actually super painful. Either they're gonna, base trade and never deal with the army, or they're gonna be microed so like precisely they're all in a bunch and taking care of one stalker at a time. That was just, that wasn't good at all for Jim Rising. He is going to go for the counter as his 4th base gets attacked here. I think he'll be able to take out Drogo's 4th too.
Yeah, he will take Drogo's 4th, but Drogo actually killing some units in the process because of those Archons that were left behind. And that's it. That's the base trade. Jim Rising will go for it. I don't see him going back. He will try to eliminate Drogo and probably keep on building an army that would maybe make him able to take on this frontal attack, frontal assault from Drogo with a lot of Stalkers. 92 army supply against 76. Economy-wise, both players will be broke as a joke in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and that is actually a really big deal. Jim Rising never really got up to that key amount of mutas and never had a bank in case of the situation to put everything into mutas. He's kind of been stuck below 20, I feel like, most of this game. That's just not enough, I think, to win here.
That's a really really great move from Drogo, keeping those 2 Archons in a base that was defended by cannons. And that's some Mutalisks that really Jim Rising didn't want to lose. He should actually target down that Spire before +2 attack for air finishes. I think he's doing it right now. Can we take a look at it? Yeah. Okay, 1 Archon and a Zealot will take care of that Spire, and I believe that's the time Drogo will want to come back a little bit to his base to avoid just getting eliminated.
Yeah, of course, that would be a poor way to end what is currently a hot streak for Drogo, but as I said, Jim Rising didn't really have enough of a bank. Sometimes not killing that Spire while this base trade is happening actually ends up losing a Protoss a game, because, the mining, the bank is still there, and they add like 7, 10, crucial mutas. But that was never really a threat here. Jim Rising is pretty broke as a joke, as you said, and I don't know if he can ever win that base race. Literal, like, last building is dead.
He will go back and produce some more Zerglings, and I was really afraid, considering like the upgrades on the Zerglings are way better than expected. Those are +2 Zerglings, so you need to respect them quite a bit, because Stalkers don't do well, obviously, against those Zerglings when they're getting surrounded. Jim Rising keeping on trying to destroy all those buildings. Will lose a Muta in the process, but that was a bait. All the Zerglings were here, and Drogo could lose the game right here. He can't take that fight. The Archons are way too far. He will try to target down those Mutalisks and now go back a little bit, and now those Archons will save the day. But that was such a close situation. I think Jim Rising taking all the right decisions.
That was really cool, and if he had more of an army either on the Mutalisk or on the Lings, that could have been a real game changer. But Drogo still has a very good army. The Archons will help take care of those Lings no matter what the upgrades are. GG!
Woo. What I like about this run from Drogo is that, first of all, he's winning, and obviously I'm happy with it. I'm sorry about that, guys, but the way he wins the game, like the fact that those are all super tense games and there's opportunity for his opponent to take the win makes it even more, scarier and better at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we watched Scarlet yesterday, of course. Like, every single game that she played was super fun, and Drogo so far has been showing a lot of really fun games, clutch games versus the Zerg players. This is a pretty crucial moment, I think, for both sides. Of course, up to that point, Jim Rising was down quite a bit and needed those emergency defenses, but this is also a mistake that maybe could have been crucial too, as +3 sometimes is the difference maker, but not in this game.
Yeah, he took so many right decisions, I believe. Like Jim Rising just getting that prism, making him able to defend that first push that I thought was the end, and that's also a really great idea from Drogo, getting a little bit of those last warpings inside his main next to 2 cannons, 2 Archons and 4 Stalkers. In that kind of situation, getting 5 or 6 Mutalisks that will not regenerate, those are dead Mutalisks, they will not regenerate, they will not be coming back to the battle. That's one of the greatest thing that you can do as a Protoss that gets base trade, like getting one base that will make the Zerg player lose some crucial units, like lots of Bane, lots of Mutas, stuff like that.
Of course, you're going to be waiting on the revive from Mexico now as they are down 3 points. I'm going to guess it's Major. I mean, Jim Rising had a fun game and in some ways a close game versus Drogo. Same for Cham, but Major, I would say, is just the safer pick.
Yeah, safer pick. I guess Cham is possible, but I would also lean towards Major, and this is going to be Major, obviously. Not the team captain, but definitely the team's ace.
Yeah.
It's real now, and it's going to be another PVT between him and Drogo. Keep in mind, Stefano still hasn't played, so France still has a remaining player. We could see, like, I believe there's been, like, in the past, like, ZVTs between Stefano and Major that were pretty cool to look at. So even if Drogo loses, I guess we will have, like, some, quality games, and we'll get to see Ilias in action. So I wouldn't even mind like a loss from Drogo.
Exactly.
I know that's crazy, but
that's what I was gonna say. Like I wouldn't mind seeing Drogo take a loss, see what Stefano looks like, and if it's it's not quite up to snuff, then just bring Drogo back, and then he can win.
And then he can win. Then he has to win, I guess. Like because if you do drop a game just to show Stefano and then you lose when you get revived, I'm gonna lose it. Well, anyways, guys, we did 4 games. We will go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, it's gonna be the rematch between Drogo and Major between France and Mexico. Okay. Hello and welcome back, guys. France is leading 3-1 against Mexico, and I couldn't be happier, especially because I'm joined by my good friend Roddy. And Roddy wanted to cast some PvT action with me.
No, absolutely. These games have been so good. Like I feel like I'm jinxed lately. Like everything I say, the complete opposite happens. When it comes to micro or widow mines. But even with the games, every single time I cast, it's like a 7-minute one-way all-in stomp. All right, that was one-way traffic. I was like, okay, I'll sit out. And you guys have these really fun back-and-forth games. I love the game that Drogo played against Major already on Whirlwind. Like you said, it was a pretty damn clean game. But what I liked the most was just the activity that he showed with units from the beginning, the transitions. It felt like it was an all-in-ish style, but it wasn't at all because he had so many workers and always had that big worker lead and good use of the oracles. I don't know where he got the energy from. I always feel that I have one revelation every 7 minutes, but he just dropped 6 within 3.
That first sequence with the double oracle, he had like four reveals. Like, how do you do this? Like, did you have actually like oracles that get energy faster than us? I don't know.
Yeah,
but that was really clean. That was really nice.
And I must say, even props to Jim Rising as well. He gave us a very, very close game, and for a split second I even thought he was starting to be on the winning end of things. But the reality of the situation is that La France is leading 3-1. I'm sure you would like to introduce your star player.
Oh yeah, our star player is also the greatest ZVZ caster in the entire world. In the bottom right for France, he is Petit Drogo. More!
I love the audience downstairs going ham for every single introduction. I wonder what In Control would have to say about that. These people love it, Jeff. Don't take it away from them. Over here in the left bottom side of Newkirk, we're looking at the main base of our Mexican Terran. It is Major.
Yeah, what you just said actually made me remember of DreamHack Tours this year, and he was trying to be as loud as us. Like I was like, I don't think it's gonna work, mate. There's like 6 people that will yell even though there's only 2 casters. Like, we will get a little bit more noise.
I thought you were going to bring up the home story cover rant or his recent tweets as well, where he said if he's going to be the emperor of esports, he will get rid of introductions. But yeah, I forgot DreamHack Tours. Didn't he have that amazing intro about Neep and hamburgers or something?
Yeah. he wanted to build a hype off with the French cast. We were sitting next to each other.
Take that, friends!
Take that, Frenchies! Like, guys, we're in the same team, bro!
Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay, so Newkirk Precinct for PvT, really cool map, I believe. Could be seeing a lot of action and probably a target opening once again for Drogo.
Yeah, I think Twilight is pretty alright on this one as well.
Yeah.
Like Stargate made absolutely a lot of sense on Whirlwind because Whirlwind is just such a large map, so it's really nice to have some fast flying units. You can say that the same goes for Newkirk, but I kind of like Twilight openings here. Twilight Robo, but we'll see what Drogo decides to go for.
All right, Reactor and Factory from Major gonna go for probably a Widowmine drop, which is like super meta these days. Everybody goes for it. There's been that slight change. I feel like we were seeing a little bit more of different openings from Terrans for a moment, but now it seems to be like, Widowmines all the time. It's supposed to be all the rage, and considering there's a Stargate for Drogo, those mines could also serve like some defensive purposes.
The Adepts are going to try to prevent this Reaper from getting the ultimate scout off, and of course don't give away any workers early on. That's actually a very nice little grenade.
Yeah.
Because that should allow this Reaper to hop into the main. This is one of these maps where once you go in, there is probably no way out, but this time the Reaper will be able to identify that there is indeed a Stargate going down. This is going to try to be annoying, but the Reaper will absolutely fall here. So good defense by Drogo, but not before Major at least knows for sure it's another Stargate.
Yeah, no hero probe this time to block off the Reapers. That would have been way harder on this map, to be honest. He should have pulled like probably 4 or 5 of them. And I guess Major might have been a little bit suspicious. So first Oracle on the production tab, Medivac, 2 Marines and 1 mine for Major. So once again, both players have opportunities to deal quite a bit of damage. And I believe first game they played each other, Drogo was really decent with the way he handled the mines, even though he didn't have like reliable detection, I should say.
Yeah.
I
was looking at that as well. I was looking at the situation. I was like, man, this seems quite bad. There's a Widowmine burrow there and stuff, but then he just had another revelation because he had way too many of them. That's, of course, the power of the double Oracle opening. I'm curious to see if this is once again a game where he will just follow up with 1 Phoenix to keep track of the drops, or if he's going to go for a Void Ray. I like what Major is doing. He left 1 mine at home, but he's still going to try to fly 1 mine to the other side of the map, knowing that once again, if you open up with an Oracle, you won't have observers on each base. So there is a chance that this one... Where's the mine?
I don't think there is a mine yet in the main.
I thought there was...
both mines are in the Medivac.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he picked up 2? I thought he picked up only 1.
He picked up both the mines and actually didn't took any damage from the Oracle and a Void Ray, and this time...
Wow, that's that Photon Overcharge is not in range, and that's a little bit painful. Major will settle just for a single probe for now. You could drop the Widowmine and perhaps kill the Stalker, but no, he didn't want to do that. I think that would have been an alright kill. I think killing a Stalker is almost always worth it.
Yeah.
Whoa! Can he tag both? Yeah,
he tagged both! Oh, but he will lose the Oracle!
No,
that was so close!
But that was still a little bit sloppy there by Major. No need to have both mines with... No, wait, he didn't tag the one. Oh, he picked them up.
Yeah, he picked them up.
Okay.
So Robo will come up, but interestingly enough, Drogo is like, okay, I'm not taking any damage. Well, let me drop a Nexus to see what's going on, and I'll be able to produce as many probes as I did in game 1.
That's gonna be ballsy, because I felt there was a moment on Whirlwind where I looked at the army of Major. I was like, this army is stronger. That's when they decided to go for the drops. But I think if he would have kept everything at one place and just tried to fight this army that was just mostly Stalkers that didn't even have Blink yet. Of course, there were a couple of Adepts in the mix, but they didn't have Resonating Glaives. And yeah, Guardian Shield is great and all, but those Protoss armies, they're just so clumsy and not powerful at all. Drogo has to be careful that he doesn't fly into the mine.
Alright, getting some, stray Marines right there, 2 shot each, getting two Marines for free.
Stray Marines, they were so close to the barracks, man.
Yeah, not stray, okay, I guess, okay. I would say left alone a little bit. There were only 2 just holding each other and actually died in each other's arms, so I guess that was pretty beautiful. Forge and Twilight will come in.
Way better love story than Twilight.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Twilight with Oracles, just imagine how many Stalkers that would have sold. This time the middle mine will connect and 1 Oracle will fall. So that's a good little hit there for Major, talking about box office hits.
Alright, not getting the revelation on the mine, and as you mentioned, like getting those 2 Oracles earlier in the game, first game between each other on Whirlwind, made him that he knew everything that was happening. He also built a Phoenix.
No, it's a Void Ray this time.
He built a Void Ray in this game. He did decide for a Phoenix game 1. Now goes for the Void Ray, but the drop is going to come from the north side this time.
Yeah, I like the opening a lot better for Major, not just because he got 1 Oracle, but I felt like he took less damage overall, and I think it's going to be a little harder for Drogo to stabilize. But once again, Drogo has created that pretty healthy worker lead for himself. He's up by 14 workers, and that's of course really good. But this is normally soon a situation where Major should be able to even up the series, and the random mine will connect again. That's Oracle number 2. So while on Whirlwind 2 Oracles survive just forever and ever, this time Major is able to take him out, and that's obviously going to give him way more opportunity to find an opening in the defenses of Drogo, because this time his army won't be revealed all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Those Marines are actually feeling great. They don't have to reveal their positioning all the time. That Widowmine drop, well, he should not even drop, because those Adepts will take care of the mines.
Natural?
Yeah, does he have anything in the
I assume?
Yeah, he has, but I believe if he drops the 2 mines, maybe he can get 1 to shoot, but I don't know if that's what he's going to go for, trying to bait a Photon Overcharge.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. Look at that army of Drogo. It's a tiny bit exposed,
Force
but at the
field?
same time, it's a
Force field?
pretty powerful army indeed. And those are some solid force fields. Major getting a little bit reckless. The Void Ray shuts down the medevac as well.
That's good. That's a really good sequence for Drogo, getting some units for free, not losing anything in terms of economy, and just losing a couple of energy on those sentries, but getting the medevac with the Void Ray. Now did get a pretty decent hit on his army with that Widowmine, but he knows about everything. He didn't tag the army, but it still keeps tab on where it is because of those pylons.
I must say, Drogo's unit positioning has been excellent in both games against Major, because once again, I look at this army. Now Blink is done indeed, but before it wasn't, and it's like, holy hell, how is he not caught out of position? It's a slow Protoss army. No charge, no resonating glaives. He's going to shade forward. Actually, this army is probably strong enough. It depends a little bit if the mines will connect or not, but those mines won't connect. He's actually just going to chase it down.
Oh, super nice
that's a
tactics
sick
going
drop.
from Major. 4 Widowmines in the top, and he didn't rebuild them yet. So we'll see what Drogo tries to do. Okay, he scouted him, so he will go back a little bit to the right and now try to dodge with the Blink Stalkers. Yeah, he will lose everything here. But getting all the mines picked up, that's really nice. But can he go for the interception right here?
One medevac's actually very low in HP, and Drogo does get it. And now the Void Ray shows up as well. Man, Drogo is just having everything going for himself. In the end, he gets both. Photon Overcharge will finish up the mines as well. At least one Stalker for the efforts of Major. These Stalkers, or excuse me, these mines actually getting some good connections. Drogo should really get another Observer.
Yeah, he's gonna bring the first one to the table. Actually, building a lot of Immortals to have that power to fight off in frontal fight against those team bio units.
I feel that Major should have just kept those units there, keep the mines there. It's so annoying to clean something like that up. And he could have been able to just kill the one remaining Stalker with the Marines and then maybe just avoid the Photon Overcharges and run circles and try to get a couple workers.
Yeah, I believe, like, in general, like I mentioned the multitasking potential that Major has in the matchup, and ever since the beginning of that series, the 2 games that he played against Drogo, is not getting the best results out of him. Is there any Photon Overcharge remaining here? Because those Stalkers are not enough, but they're being joined by the army, and once again, army positioning from Drogo quite pristine. In the bottom side, 2 Immortals, Sentries, and the Devs. This is a perfect game, but Drogo doesn't want to overextend here.
Yeah, that forward blink was a little bit too much, but once again, good split by the army so far off Drogo. I mean, he left enough at the top side. He's going to go for one more forward blink. Couple of units actually coming in now from the south side of Major. That was from that very first skirmish. So Drogo has to be careful he doesn't fight against 2 armies while he's only fighting with half of his. He's going to let the shade finish up. Major's going to decide to just shoot down a couple of adepts before he retreats. Once again, I'm very impressed by the macro of Drogo. I feel like he always has so many units.
I can't believe he's playing super well. Like that adept in the shade, like earlier, that told him that the other side of the army was joining up.
Oh,
with
that's
Major
a forward blink.
All right. All right, I got scared for a little bit of a moment. I think he's lost 2 Stalker, maybe got a medevac out of it. That Widowmine in the back did kill 2 probes, but that's not too bad, I guess.
I really like the Widowmine play so far from Major. He definitely got some serious work done, a lot of connections, was able to get a lot of guaranteed kills. Scan being thrown down. Major will know that there is an Observer with the army now as well.
Okay, we'll take down a couple of... no, actually,
Maybe
the
one
adepts, they moved away to the north side, and there's a base being built at the moment, so if he can get the destruction of it... Okay, that Widowmine will load again and destroy 2 more probes. I guess Drogo doesn't mind that much, but if he loses those Immortals, that could be bad. He will take the fight with some crazy force field.
Good pickup.
Nice pickup, and no blink to punish it.
But a couple of adepts are going to be annoying on the north side of this map. It's going to slow down this fort base of Major a little bit. I wonder if Major, well, this are some pretty injured medevacs already. It's pretty risky to fly with 3 medevacs like that. Enough units at home for Major to clean it up. These random mines, they've been connecting throughout the entirety of this game. Obviously, it's not for free, but I still like it by Major.
Oh yeah, definitely. If your Widowmine just hits one time, but actually take down a little bit of the shields of all the units in one Stalker, this is a great pickup. And even like Sentries could be like really great pickup. Once again, a unit dying to the north, so he knows that this drop is coming in. The map presence of Drogo, without playing with that many observers, just replacing pylons and the devs everywhere, it's just... I'm really, really impressed.
Yeah, leaving a couple of units behind. Losing 1 adept is obviously not a very big deal. It's way worse if 2 medevacs show up at one of your exposed bases. Meanwhile, we have a Templar Archives being wiped in, a Dark Shrine being wiped in, but I'm not sure if Drogo has that much in his main base. Yes, he does have a lot of Photon Overcharges, but that's about it.
Triple pylon.
And there's also an engagement in the middle of the map between the 2 armies.
All right, but this is not looking good at all for Major, losing all the units in the main, but that in the middle of the map. But that triple drop is actually starting to deal a little bit of damage. He's got Blink Stalkers. Drogo, that is, will be able to pick up those medivacs. Oh, Major taking a lot of risks. Those mines connecting super well, and only one medivac dying. How did he do that?
Man, Drogo is playing so good. I don't know how he has this many units all the time. He does overextend with a couple of Stalkers here. Major actually reinforcement. This is the moment that Drogo should absolutely go back. There is a missile turret as well, pushing out a lot of damage on one of these Colossus. Major was thinking about dropping some units there, but he's like, it's just 4. But he's still going to go for it.
He will go for it, and he will probably get 2 Colossus out of it. Is he going to get those? Yes, 1 Colossus goes down. The Void Ray deals a lot of damage, but Drogo doesn't have his entire army with us, and losing a lot of these AoE units. But now, this is a really bruised army of Terran. All those Marauders in the orange life will have to go back, but great sequence from Major right here.
Well, a couple of EMPs, no energy anymore in his Mothership Core. Recall not possible. 1 Colossus is incredibly low on HP. Actually, he's going to focus the other one. So both should fall, but at the same time, a lot of units on the ground dying for Major as well. Major is up in supply though. That was an expensive loss for Drogo. And it's also worth mentioning that 2-2 is already done for Major, while Drogo only now starting his +2 attack. It's kind of a scrappy game, but it's a very fun game. And I like Drogo's positioning a lot until he overextended. You know, he was on move command, it almost looked like. And I did love the way Major looked at it, and he's like, within 0.1 second, he's like, all right, I can fight that army. He just went for it, stimmed forward. And that was actually the first big victory that Major got throughout the entirety of the game.
All right, double Colossus production will continue, but now 3-3 upgrades, +1 attack for air. That's a great pickup, I would say. Well, he's going to lose a Stalker in the process, and that medivac, he's playing with fire, man.
They're both playing really well. It's a very fun game, and despite the fact that it looks scrappy, it's scrappy because there is so much action. You know, it's very easy to look flawless in a game where you just build up your army and rest a little bit, and then eventually overrun your opponent. But there are so many nice little trades back and forth. That Mothership Core absolutely laughs in the face of danger. I wonder if he did that on purpose.
Living on the edge. Ah. Oh my god, literally on the edge of the range of this mine, but wouldn't kill it in one shot, but still would make it a little bit softer for the next part of this game. On the top, we've got 2 medivacs trying to put a little bit of pressure, a little bit of rhythm in this game, and Major expanding quite well, like a crazy man.
Yeah, Drogo is adding a second forge now, which I do like, because I think he realized, like, man, if 2-2 is done already and 3-3 is on the way, eventually it's going to be 3-3 against 2-2. That's just not a nice fight for me at all. I want to be able to at least get decent trades, especially because Major is so drop heavy, and if you try to clean it up with just gateway units, but your gateway units have 2-2, it becomes very, very hard to deal with drops.
You're gonna have a bad time indeed. Interestingly enough, Major not gonna go for you know, the early range on the Liberator, just playing with Ghosts and a lot of bio with double prong aggression on the top side. That's okay. That's Colossus. I was wondering if this was only gateway units, that would have been super hard to clean. But with Colossus and Archons, that works well. Nice EMP. He has to go back a little bit. Drogo, that is, 1 Colossus will fall. And that's a lot of Liberators. You don't want to overstep your boundaries here.
The Liberators is what's making this very hard for Drogo to engage, and he has a lot of units on the north side as well.
He doesn't have range on Colossus. I was wondering about that, like, for a long time, but I didn't want to look like a fool. But this Colossus is not hitting where he should be. Those Stalkers will get the Liberators anyways, but those Colossi don't have range. That's such a huge mistake from Drogo. Whoa.
Couple of Liberators not siege up. I think if there's a winning moment, it has to be right now, and Drogo thinks so as well. So he goes forward immediately. He gets 2 Liberators, but like you said, these Colossus without thermal lens, I didn't notice at all, but this explains why he was standing on top of a missile turret.
Yeah, earlier. Yeah, he didn't have the opportunity to hit on them from afar. He lacks 2 range on those Colossus, so quite a bit of a hard situation for P Drogo here, with Major relentless in terms of aggression. He will come in and siege up those Liberators against Vikings on the ground. Will deal tremendous amount of damage on the Stalkers.
That would have been a nice EMP on top of the Adepts. Not sure if the Ghosts had energy. Sentries actually lost most of their energy. Well, they just forceful. A few more Archons being wiped in. It's kind of a bruised army by Major, but that army is so much more powerful, especially with the upgrade advantage as well. I'm not sure what Drogo is supposed to do here. I would say just buy as much time and avoid the Liberators.
Yeah, he's going to try to fight anyways. The Liberators won't siege up, yes, but that's a win for Major. and actually making it 3-2, still in favor of France, but putting that second point on the table and getting his revenge from that earlier game.
Yeah, definitely makes you wonder what would have happened if Drogo did actually research thermal lands, because it's very easy to pinpoint where this went wrong. I felt that the defense early on was beautiful. He got a little unfortunate with the oracles, losing both oracles, but also credit to Major for just putting them in random places, because that's what makes it hard. Because most of the time you just click on the minimap and you look at the oracle once it's on the other side. But there were a lot of good moments early game for Drogo, and it felt like the game was going his way until he made that overcommitment near the missile turret.
Yeah, that's a perfect start of this game. Getting really, really cute trades against those units. He's gonna get that medivac in the end. Gonna get
Cleans
the
up
second
this
one
without losing anything. Well, one stalker, but
yeah. If we're talking about like a a perfect rain game, for instance, if we think about defensive Protoss back in the days, that's the the greatest way of starting a game. You defend everything. Your opponent is actually throwing units at you. But in the end, 3-3 army with +1 on the air units, and those Colossi actually out of the way because of the lack of range. And this is just too much of an army for Drogo to handle.
Yeah, Major also showing some excellent macro, because I think that Drogo never expected Major to have that many units when there were basically two armies active on the side of the map, like on the north side and the south side. And the moment he was cleaning up this army on the south side, he's like, well, cool, I can actually chase this army down because I'm winning. And then suddenly Major shows up with a lot more additional bio forces. As obviously only one player remains for
France,
and it's Stefano.
Le Stefano, Le Ilyes, we will know right now. Yes, next player for France is Stefano. Does he have what it takes? And I believe he's been practicing like a madman. He probably practiced more than for about 2 or 3 years, I guess, ever since he actually stopped being a professional player because of WESG and Nation Wars.
He looked at that prize pool and he's like, I don't need to win a whole lot of tournaments anymore. If I just win one of these, Stefano back in the days, he won big ones as well. A lot of 30, 40K tournaments. Obviously, won the NASL, won IPL. Those were really big paydays. But WESG is an even bigger one. I mean, he's going to have to take out TY. That's not going to be
It's
easy.
400K, right?
Yeah, total. I think 200 for first.
Okay, 200K for first, which is makes it as much as BlizzCon when you think about it. This is a crazy tournament.
50K less. I think they upped.
Oh, 200. Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry about that. I didn't want to, I'm just, looking forward what Stefano has in store for us. I know he wanted, for instance, during BlizzCon, you remember when we were talking about Starcraft Kings and everything. It was just he was talking to Toll Biscuit. It was like, give me a Protoss. I will destroy a Protoss, but don't give me anything else than that. And this time he will have to do it against a Terran player. He's been streaming quite a bit, as you mentioned earlier. He's practicing. He's top of the ladder, top of the GM league. He definitely has a shot, but this will be really, really hard, obviously, with a Major playing at that level.
Yeah, and the map is going to be Echo, which I don't think is necessarily the greatest map for Stefano. I think if I think of Stefano's EVD, and obviously I haven't seen that much of it lately, so maybe it has completely changed. But a while ago, Stefano was all about non-stop run-bys, right? Like he would always try to run by, always have a couple of banelings wiggling in the mineral line somewhere, sometime. But Echo is not one of these maps. Once again, the moment you knock down that cooling tower, you basically only have to defend one location to keep all 3 bases safe. So that truly makes me wonder what Stefano is going to do.
Yeah, I'm also wondering. He's been quite fond of obviously lots of lings in his composition, like double upgrade lings and banelings. He's always been that kind of guy. I remember back in the days, like 2011, like you play against Stefano, he thinks that you're a scrub, he beats you with only lings. And I used to lose probably 4 times a day against the Stefano that would just throw lings at me. You guys think that France will win 70% of you guys, 70-31?
Well, I mean, that's pretty accurate right now because they're up 3-2. So Stefano's got a shot, and if that wouldn't go well, then we still have a 7th map that's going to be Overgrove, and we assume that the revival is most of the time going to be Drogo. Believe #NW4 go Juanito. That's an awesome picture, by the way. I love the Latin American StarCraft scene. Those guys are so fun. Like I've said this many times, but WCS Copa in Mexico was fantastic.
Nokia, an artistic director here at Gaming, actually enjoying himself quite well, as we can see. This is some
salmon, I think.
Yeah, this is salmon, like a little bit of salad and some good French bread.
I just told you the only thing today that I've had was obviously a chicken baguette because I have one every day. But then I had these French desserts. Every time you walk in the bakery, it looks so colorful. There's different colors, different fruits. And in the past, I always just looked at it. I'd be one of those people who takes a picture of it. But then since a couple of days ago, I decided to start eating them, and they're amazing. I mean, it's quite a bit of sugar, but they're so good.
You can take your your combo in a bakery like this. You get your sandwich, you get your drink, and you get your tiny dessert that makes you feel like a god after that.
Now I know why you French people are so happy, because it makes me pretty happy as well when I wake up like that. It's like, oh.
Yeah, pretty well. I like it. Really waiting for Stefano and what he has to offer in this matchup. Interestingly enough, like imagine in a world where Stefano wins this game, and then you've got.
Then he wins more games already than he did during the entirety of Season 3.
Yeah, look at it. Like Marine Lord gets thrown first.
Yeah.
Gets destroyed, 0-1. Then the Protoss of the team actually carries, which was Lilbo back then, but didn't carry at all. Like got like probably 2 wins, I think, last season.
But one very important one.
He did have like really important ones also, which means which makes it not that bad, I guess, but actually pretty.
But it wasn't
important.
what we expected. We thought he was going to be the star.
Yes, exactly. And so we have like totally shifted team.
Yeah, everything is the opposite.
Yeah.
Stefano is now the ace. Was back then cannon fodder. Marine Lord was the ace, right now gets sent out first, and the Protoss that didn't win back then is actually winning right now.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, people think back about, Nation War Season 3, but I think one thing that's very important to not forget is that tournament was played right after the release of Legacy of the Void. It was barely a couple weeks in. So we didn't really know what to expect, and that's why we had a lot of crazy results as well, because the skill levels were not truly established yet, and obviously the meta was not settled at all. I mean, Lilba was still trying to make Blink Stalker Sentry every game, and it worked until somebody got 3 lurkers, and then it didn't work.
We'll see what happens here, because in terms of meta, everything's just settled a little bit. I'm going to let you introduce that guy so I can do the other one, if that's okay with you.
Representing Mexico, spawning on the left top side of Echo, it's the one and only Major Juanito.
And in the bottom right, representing France, one of the greatest pro gamer that ever lived in France and played for France, this is Stefano!
Well, you synced it up with the Frenchies.
Yeah,
not bad.
I was waiting for them to go crazy to start.
What if they would have done it like 20 more seconds? Would have you just gone like,
yeah, I would have done that.
And then walk away.
Mic drop.
Yeah, it's like I'm
Get out of here.
Solo cast by Roddy. Great. Love it. Alrighty, I'm excited as well. I mean, there's been a lot of talk. Stefano's practicing, guys. Stefano really cares. He's in shape. It's time to see it.
It's time to see if it's actually true, and if what he, the cool results that he had not that long ago with Shoutcraft Kings, for instance, getting some really nice wins against Beyond and Hero, if I remember correctly. Those guys, and especially like this is the same kind of thing. This is online best of 1, so he can do that again against a player that's arguably probably a little less skilled, but Major at the moment just showing that he still has like the opportunities to do super well. He's the ace for Mexico. That's the reason he's been revived here, and I think he's the favorite for this game, obviously. But we don't know. We need to see if Stefano just can deliver here in a really intense game.
Yeah, I really haven't seen a lot from Major in patch 3.8, so it's really hard to make any accurate predictions here. I think in the previous patch he did struggle a little bit against her, because in multiple offline events he lost against Chem actually, and that's obviously surprising. In 2014, 2013, nobody would have ever predicted or imagined Major losing against another Mexican player, because he was just by far and away the best in his country. But once again, 3.8 has changed quite a bit, so I'm not exactly sure how well Major is going to be able to do in this matchup. But I am excited, and I do agree with you. I would still give him a slight edge, but never, ever underestimate a Stefano that has been playing or actually cares.
Okay, Stefano going for something that is shown on stream quite a bit, so being a little bit predictable, I guess, if Major paid attention a little bit to Stefano's stream recently, which is like going for that super early triple hatchery, so cutting a little bit on the queen production for a bit, but getting that third hatchery down super fast. And on the opposite side, Major not going to go for the 2-1-1, but more towards a Hellion Banshee composition, maybe Hellion drops, we will see.
Major has always loved Hellion Banshee, right? I mean, he played the best of 7 final against Scarlet in Brazil just a couple months ago, and that was still the previous patch, but there was a lot of Hellion Banshee. It was a lot of mech as well, a couple of games, and the fun thing is where even if Major has an absolutely disastrous start with his mech build, It's actually going to be only 2 Hellions, and he's going to go into 2 Widow Mines. The game is still going to last 28 minutes because it's just so hard to kill Major who's meching. And it doesn't mean that he's ever going to be close to winning, but he will also not give up. And he will fight until he is absolutely not capable of mining any more minerals.
Can this Reaper make it out? No, it won't. And that's a first blood for Stefano here, taking that Reaper out. And not going to be any follow-up scouts. He does know about the 3 hatcheries, and we can see like a lot of drones from Stefano. I think it was 11 when it peaked. Those Zerglings will come in. There's 2 Allions. He will try for the run-by and the surround. Can he get it?
2 more Hellions about to show up as well. He does get 1. Is he going to be able to pick it up? Yes, so at least 1 Hellion. That's obviously better than nothing. And he also knows about the 2 additional Hellions that were being produced. But it's very important now for Stefano that he gets a couple of units out, because he really doesn't have a lot. He's had a lot of drones. He doesn't have any detection here. The layer is obviously going to be quite late.
Okay,
I'm a little bit worried now because he doesn't have any detection anywhere. These mines are going to be annoying. It's not as bad as it is against Protoss, but it could still be quite bad. Oh my god, that's a very nice pickoff.
That was really close, but at the same time, those Allions will start to run by, and now will get dropped to the main. Nice plays from Major, and that Widow Mine will probably fight again. Oh! The Medivac dies, Allion dies, and the mine dies on the 3rd base. Stefano cleaned up all the aggression at the same time, and not losing that many drones.
Yeah, really not that bad. Only losing 5 drones against 4 Hellions and 2 Widow Mines and a Medivac as well. I actually think that's something that he can be very, very satisfied with. That was pretty clean. I really thought it was going to be worse, especially with that mine in the main where there was no Spore Crawler down yet either. Alright. Cloak Banshee is going to be the follow-up, but we do already have 2 Spores, 2 eBays being thrown down as well in the back of the natural.
Does he have a Spore in the natural? That's the question I'm wondering. He does not have a Spore in the natural. He will have to pull the drones. He will try to go for that Spore. He needs to actually uproot the one in the 3rd, because this is going to deal a tremendous amount of damage. Even though Major actually targeted down lava for a bit, he's still getting so many drones, like way more than anticipated, because he was a little bit greedy, I guess.
Wow, already way more drones than the 4 Hellions and 2 Widow Mines combined.
Yes.
9 drones for that single Banshee, and let's not forget about Cloak Banshee number 2, so that's definitely something that Major was looking for. Now Major is sitting pretty comfortably on 3 CCs on the other side of the map. It's not on location yet, but obviously he can fly it over because there is no answer against these Banshees, so he really doesn't have to worry about too much about anything that Stefano can do on the ground. One thing that works for Stefano is, because he went up to 3 bases so fast, is that he does have a lot of larvae to work with. So losing a few drones, yeah, it's not pleasant, but it's also not the end of the world.
Yeah, totally, I agree with this. He needs to work on those extractors, and he's doing it. So right now, needs a couple more drones.
The layer is quite late, isn't it?
Super late layer, yeah. He went for drones, queens, double evo with double upgrade before going into any kind of tier 2 technology. Nice transfuse here, not losing the queen, obviously pretty good for him. The creep spread, this is not Scarlet's level, right? We're not looking at the same player, obviously, but I would argue that Stefano has created a pretty decent lead for himself, like not that big of a lead, but lead in terms of upgrades, and he also reached that status of 66 plus drones super early in this game.
I just wonder, where is he going to take this? Is he going to make nothing but roaches? One of the Banshees actually taking a little bit of damage, but Cloak activated in time. Pretty much ran out of energy immediately. But it doesn't matter. So 1-1 is done. He immediately starts +2 missile attacks. Wonder if he's going to start +2 carapace immediately as well. He's just going to max out on like Roach Ravager and try to overrun Major.
Maybe with the addition of Infestors at some points, but I could see him go for like a really strong timing. Like I rush my economy super fast so I can get that 200 supply of Roach Ravagers that usually is considered as a bad composition, but will still take you by surprise as a Terran player if you don't have the proper units in place.
Yeah, especially if they're out of position, and if the Roaches have 2 upgrades as well. A couple of Marines will show up and should be able to get a cancel on this 4th base, and that's obviously a very nice little pickoff for Major, who's not only going to get that hatchery, he's going to get a Ravager as well, and he got a couple of drones.
Yeah, 2 drones, a Ravager, but at the same time, 1 Banshee fell on the right side of the map, and actually the second one, yeah. That shift click was a little bit, ambitious. Those queens have a sick range nowadays. Some more Roaches and Ravagers. Yeah. a little bit supply block, 3 overalls in production tab, and 2-2 is about halfway down. He will have roach speed in a couple of seconds. Does he really want to go now? Does he really want to attack before that 2-2 time?
Seems like Stefano is anticipating a drop into the natural as he was repositioning a couple of roaches. If you take a look at the map vision of Stefano, he really doesn't have a lot. I'm surprised he didn't split overlords a little bit better, you know, on the left side. He just has like 1 all the way in the left bottom. But he doesn't really see anything else, so it's very hard to figure out whether or not Major is going for some sort of a drop play.
Does Major goes for a double factory? Is this a take lap that goes on the to a second factory?
Yeah, the second
factory. Okay. So he does realize that he needs that, you know, that heavy hitters in terms of against armored units, against roaches, with those double production of tanks on the left side. Probably will do some roaches, but did fend off that drop even though the cancel was here. We'll never get those medivacs if Major is paying attention, but...
Stefano's maxed out right now. It's a little bit of old school Stefano magic, just maxing out on the roaches, but there are a couple of tanks in place. These Ravages are way too exposed. Stefano getting a little eager. And once again, like Echo... This is, I don't know, man. This seems very, very hard to break.
Oh, Stefano is going crazy. 1 tank will fall, and he's actually, oh my god, this is not looking well at all. 5 tanks with the high ground vision from Major, not doing super well here. 3 roaches to fend off that double drop in the main. They did trade at army, but he gave way more away than Major lost on this one. Those 2 medivacs will fend off. They will go back. 6,000 resources lost against the 4,000 of Major. It's actually telling the story of this game pretty precisely, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be hard now, let's be honest. I mean, a couple of Marines and Marauders stimming forward here as well. Stefano should be able to keep this base alive, but Echo is just once again one of these maps where you can sit on 3 bases and you only have to defend 1 location, especially after you knock down that cooling tower. And it's just going to be hard. Like, where do you take this game right now if you're Stefano? Do you just make more roaches? You make more Ravages? How can that possibly go well with 2-2 finishing up for Major 2?
Without any burrow play, without any 4-0 technology, no infestors, no anything. Like, the only thing that could go well is that it takes a perfect fight where Major is not sieged up and he cleans out the entire tank count. Because I believe in a frontal fight right now between Bio and Roaches and Ravagers, the Roaches and Ravagers will win this fight, but he needs to take down those tanks before, and that base super exposed. 2-2 Marines and Marauders will blow up that hatchery super fast.
Yeah, 1 transfuse will not be able to save it. I love the way that Major is currently playing this. He's like, you've got no Spire? Cool, I'm gonna keep these medivacs here forever. And he doesn't kill that much immediately, but it's just they will always be there because these medivacs just do not die, and it's so frustrating to deal with as a Zerg player. Like, it's just 3 Marines, but if you ignore 3 Marines, you're gonna end up losing 7-8 drones very quickly.
Yeah, and he will keep on losing them because those 3 cheeky Marines will get some kills, but the medivac will fall, which means that aggression should stop when those Marines die. +3/+3 on the production tab for our Terran player, and finally some forward tech from Stefano with the burrow roaches and the burrow movement. Maybe some infestors will come into play at some point. Liberator should get cleaned off with those 3 Ravagers this year. Oh.
Wow, those roaches and Ravagers were way too exposed. A couple of them do get picked off immediately, while Major is just creating some breathing space for his forward base where he can set up a couple of tanks as well, and he should be able to keep it safe. Is he going to go for Hive? I mean, Stefano is quite rich, but it's a little bit deceiving because it's mostly in minerals. He really doesn't have that much gas, so it's unlikely we see suddenly a switch into Ultras or we see a whole bunch of infestors or any player like that.
And he really never mined from any of those 4 bases, 4th bases that he tried to take left side, right side. They've been destroyed super fast, and Stefano just used all his gas bank. Yeah, Major is playing like the multitask game like nobody else, and against Roaches and Ravagers, no Spire take. He's having a field day. Those Marines will die, but on the right side, there's a lot of tanks that are actually coming. He's clearing up the creep, so no vision from Stefano. And we mentioned he's out of position, and against tanks that will get sieged up, this is going to be a tough call.
Yeah, that's a lot of tanks. I'm not sure if you ever want to run into that with just Roaches and Ravagers. Maybe with some cute burrow play, which he indeed is going for. But once again, it's still so many tanks, so that even that is going to make it hard. But he is going to try, and he will also be able to see once the tank's on siege.
The opposite side, Stefano is trying to go for Roaches and burrow, but there's a turret. He's losing every single unit, and at this side, he needs to unburrow those Roaches on the top to get some friendly fire going on with those tanks, because, oh my god, if all those tanks are actually starting to shoot at the same target, this is going to be a bloodbath.
We had 24 Roaches now on the production tab, so Stefano is able to spend a little bit of his bank But once again, this army, this just all these traits are awesome. Nice use of the roaches in the back of this army, actually. And Stefano may finally be able to clean this up and is able to take out the majority of these tanks, if not all of them. But let's not forget about the 3-3 upgrades that are finishing up, and this is still only a 3-base Zerg with just roaches against a 4-base Terran.
Yeah,
soon
plus
5.
+2 mech also just finished. So +2 tanks will rain down on those roaches, and to be honest, I don't see anything that Stefano could do. He will invest in a late game technology in the +3 armor for those roaches, but I don't see this game going well for him if it goes longer and longer. I believe that he wanted to go for an attack after cleaning up all those tanks, but at the moment, posturing in the middle.
The dream fungal, perhaps, if he's able to get like 20-30 Marines with a couple of fungals and corrosive balls. And you could say technically anything is possible, but he's going to need the absolute best fungals ever. And obviously Major is aware that Burrow is on the field, and he saw the infestors as well, so he should be a little careful.
Whoa, 5 bases Stern against 3 base Zerg. Actually rebuilding his 3rd base, so literally like economy out of 1 base with like 4 mineral patches. So Stefano is broke. Yeah, he doesn't have any gas remaining in those extractors in the main and natural. So actually a little bit. Oh no, he still has a decent amount, I guess. But the 5 base economy from Terran with those upgrades, +3/+3 and +2 tanks, is just looking super terrible for Stefano, who relies on the magic fungal. That's
if
the
he
only
would
thing
max out, he does have a massive army supply because he only has 42 drones. But even then, it's going to be hard. He does land a fungal. That's a good fungal, actually. A couple of corrosive balls will rain down on this bio as well. So that's a pretty good beginning of this battle of Stefano. But Stefano really needs this base, and he's going to go for it.
Okay, he's going to go for it. The attack starts, and now the bio will rain down. There's only 2 tanks remaining, and actually, there's a Mexican player that wants to fly away with those medivacs. He doesn't feel comfortable taking this fight, and to be honest, if he loses this fight, there's 2 bases that are pretty vulnerable from our Terran player at the same time.
But the big issue for Stefano is, once again, he just can't secure a 4th base. Major has done a phenomenal job in just shutting it down over and over and over again. And right now we'll just go back, realizing that I probably need a few more units to make sure that I don't do anything silly in this game. But Stefano is just stuck on his 3-base economy while Major is taking every base.
When he does that, like Major, it's just scary as hell. And he showed it also against Drogo in that game on Newkirk Precinct, just expanding like a madman, and makes it for a great positioning from him in the late game. And now he pushes with turrets to not get annoyed by those burrow mechanics, and that's just a great position. He's got a lot of queens, Stefano that is, with transfusion, and he's gonna try to do something with it. Those infestors don't have mana to get a fungal. He will try with that corrosive bile, but this is, as I mentioned earlier, a bloodbath. +2 tanks destroying most of the army. Stefano will win this fight, but look at the overall supply, +60 in favor of our Mexican Terran.
And the reinforcements have arrived for Major. He's going to stim forward, take out a couple of these Ravages. That's a good fungal. That's the best fungal we could have hoped for. Good corrosive bile as well, but it's a numbers game at this point. Major is doubling the supply. He just has way more income. He has stronger units. GG. And we're going to go to the rubber match.
Rubber match, game 7 coming up. Probably a rematch between Drogo and Major, which would mean that clever, best of 3 within the best of 7 between those 2 players. But Stefano literally didn't play bad at all. He actually played a decent game, but got,
that one Banshee, I think, actually put him down quite a bit, because the initial hold was really quite good against 4 Hellions, a medevac, 2 Widow Mines, only losing 5 drones. I think that's something you can be quite pleased with, especially when he was able to shut down this 1 Widow Mine in the main as well. And this was also cool, bringing that Queen in position from the main, just a Cloak Banshee. He didn't have a Spore in position, and the layer was so late, so that very first Cloak Banshee bought Major a lot of time.
And that's the final fight after reinforcements coming out from Major, and those 3-3 bio units with a huge amount of medivac, to be honest, just not dying against those roaches and ravagers. If you count out the bile. Like, bile connects, you kill units. If you don't, this is gonna
that
be
was also
call.
a cool play by Major. The moment that he realized, like, hey, you're just staying on roaches and ravages, he had 2 medevacs that were just bouncing around in between these bases, and that's one of the most frustrating feelings in the world. If you don't have any flying units, if you don't have any real proper anti-air, like, yeah, you can deal with it if you have units in position, but these medevacs, they're obviously fast, they can use the boost, and they will always find an opening, and even if it's just 4 or 5 units, that just never ends. And like, in somebody, if you put that medevac in the hands of Major, it's just not going to die. So fun game, fun nation-wise so far. I think everything that we expected of it, and perhaps even a little bit more. I'm going to reveal the final player of La France.
La France.
Oh,
it
now
will
it's
be.
Le. Before it was La, and now it's Le.
Le France.
I'm done with you guys.
La France. La France.
I'm done with all this French grammar.
It's gonna be Drogo,
Petit
obviously
Drogo.
Le Petit Drogo, which is a small Drake. Yes, Petit Drogo is gonna be the last player, the ace player. Took out 3 players from Mexico. Last map, Overgrowth, PVT. What do we think about it?
Very even, I think. I think
Yeah?
it really comes down to execution. I think a couple of Terran pushes are incredibly strong. We saw it the other day at the GSO, and that's not the only place that we've seen it. Like, this is a map that's been played for a long time. It plays out very different, right? In Heart of the Swarm, it was all about getting a siege on the turret while trying to put some pressure on the Protoss. Not sure if that succeeded, and Protoss was in a lot of trouble. In Legacy of the Void, you don't see that often, just the way that the economy is shaped and the amount of units you have in a certain phase, and the expanding goes a little faster. But there are still often very strong pushes with 2 tanks and then bio units, or just 2 tanks, a Liberator, Widowmine, and some bio units. I think it's going to be a battle around the turret of Drogo, and if Drogo can keep it alive without any issues, it could be his game.
Yeah, well, in the mid game, those early pushes, like highly technical, I would say, pushes with tanks and liberators can be really a pain to deal with as a Protoss player.
A
on
lot
this
of
map.
finesse is required
Well,
with that Terran army. Thought I would never say those words.
Yeah, but it is actually true. Medivacs, tanks, liberators, lots of units that require finesse. And this is the baguette raclette. Do you know what raclette is?
No,
Raclette?
but I see the ham over there and whatever else stuff, and it looks fantastic. And a glass of wine. I'm jealous of this man.
Yeah, he's having a field day right there. Thank you for this tweet. Obviously, hashtag #FraWin. There's a lot of stuff that you need to discover about French cuisine, and those two I told you about raclette and tartiflette. Two really good, great recipe with cheese that has melted. You know,
Yeah, melted cheese.
Melted cheese. I don't know why I blocked on this.
Melted cheese is a thing. Don't worry.
Yeah, it works. Like it didn't feel right. I don't know why. All right, this is the rubber match. We anticipated a really tough best of 7, and thanks to this man, we are still alive for France. This is Petit Drogo. Le Wallet.
That was a beautiful speech. Over here on the left bottom side, but there is no barracks in the left bottom side. We're looking in the main base of the last representative of Mexico. It is Major. It's not an all kill, because Chem did get a pretty important victory. Drogo missed the scout, but he's still scouting early, Funka.
Yes.
You don't have to... I mean, obviously, if he gets the scout, that would be massive, but come on, you can't have it all.
No.
You can't always flop the nuts, Funka.
So yeah, with that early scout, Drogo will notice that there's something wrong. There's a building missing, a pretty important one. It's called the barracks, and it's on the opposite side of the map, and he will try to harass with probably what would be Reaper, but considering that's super early second gas, I guess we will see like the entire base getting proxied, like with a factory next to it, or am I just speaking
Maybe he's going to
too
build
early?
the factory a little bit elsewhere, but... Or maybe the factory at home. I think the factory at home is
factory
something.
at home.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's something you see more often and keeps you a little safe as well against a potential proxy pylon and stuff like that. So that's indeed going to be the case. But Drogo knows he's still desperately looking for this barrack. Now the first probe micro is going to be wow. He's wasting a lot of money, by the way. There's probes just going everywhere.
And he knows now, and that bunker will not finish. Well, except if Major goes for some amazing micro with his SCV.
He's going to make what is he going to do with the... Okay, he's going to open up with a mothership core. So make sure, if he doesn't lose any workers, then it's really quite a solid start for Drogo.
He will lose that probe, definitely. We'll try to drop down a pylon before, but that Reaper will take care of it before
Nice
Zealot
SimCity.
goes for the bunker. And as you said, yeah, nice SimCity that Reaper needs to actually commit to go inside. He will not commit further because the mothership core just came out. Drogo has a lot of money in the bank. He wants to drop down the Nexus as fast as possible.
Zealot having a little bit of Air Jordan time over there. Cyclone is going to be the follow-up, and Cyclones are gnarly units early on against Protoss. There's really there's a lot of debate about what is the best thing that you can make. You know, multiple Stalkers can work, but Cyclones are so damn good against Stalkers, so having Stalkers and a Prism is awesome. Obviously, if they have Blink, it's not that much of an issue anymore. This is a nice little snipe, because the probe count is not high in this phase in the game, so every probe that Major can find is awesome. He's gonna go for a Stargate. And now I truly wonder if this is going to be an Oracle opening or if he wants to open up with Phoenixes, because Phoenixes are actually pretty damn good in one-base scenarios, or even a Void Ray from my part. Like, Void Rays are not bad either. I just truly wonder. I'm not sure how I would feel about an Oracle. Like, an Oracle, I think, is very hit or miss, right? It can absolutely shut everything down, but it can also just kind of fall flat on its face, especially if there's a turret on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I feel like Phoenixes or Void Ray would be a really great answer. And just looking at the kind of build that is Major is going for, that kind of one base all-in kind of thing. Actually, misplacing that CC, he needs to
That's he did that on Echo as well on the right top side.
Yeah, exactly. It reminded me of something. But he's gonna go for the Oracle, and I believe that's probably the least useful units. Well, as I say that, he might get like 25 SCV and get the game because of it, but Void Rays and Phoenixes have proven to be like the right units to defend those kind of early pushes with like Factory and Starcraft.
The good thing here for Drogo is obviously that the Marine count is not very high, right? So this Reaper is going to be annoying. The Reaper will also get a massive scout up and will be able to see the target, perhaps even the Oracle. That would make things even better, but you can also take a look at it, and he should know now for sure that this is indeed an Oracle opening. How much anti-air is there? I think he doesn't want to waste Photon Overcharge. How much anti-air is there in the main?
Nothing.
Uh-oh.
That Oracle is coming in,
and he's
coming in 4.
He's supply block.
Drop down, call down from the sky will probably save a little bit Major on this one because he needs some defense, and actually those Cyclones will come back to defend against that Oracle because he knows that's what's coming. That SCV building, the command center, will die.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Major. Double Cyclone is actually a little bit risky.
The damage.
Yeah.
Every time, like, I'm wondering, like, this is not dealing any damage. Like, bring back that later that Cyclone from before. Well, I guess in that situation, in that best of 7, I'm liking that new Cyclone. That Oracle not dying was obviously thanks to that. Still kind of boosting this target, even though he's not building anything from it.
It's a pretty wild game. It's a kind of a shaky game as well. Drogo, I think, has to be a little bit careful. I mean, the bunker is not done yet, so maybe he just wants to test the waters.
Yeah.
Double Oracle and quite a few Stalkers, actually.
Double.
Oh.
I like this for Drogo. Double Oracle in a frontal fight. He will go for it. Bait the not baiting, but going back a little bit, going for Revelation. That might died instantly, and Drogo dealing some incredible damage to the Terran player right there, targeting down that Cyclone. Can he get it? Nice micro from Major. He's handling this super well.
I mean, Cyclone's so powerful against Stalkers. Major did lose 6 SCV, so that's already nice for Drogo. And he's going to have to be careful. He's going to land the Viking. The landed Viking is actually not that bad against Stalkers. Obviously, they still die fast. He's actually going to lift it again as well. Man, good focus fire there by Drogo.
Drogo is on fire. Drogo with the relentless aggression, getting a +10 worker lead on this game. And getting
more Stalkers.
Yeah.
Coming in.
3 more will come in, and another Oracle, actually the Oracle that didn't die from earlier, doesn't have that much energy. Will he go for it? That's a really exposed Widowmine. He's not going for it. He's not going to get the target down. Split a little bit. That's the Oracle that will fall, so no detection going forward.
I mean, that Cyclone is still low in HP. Good snipe there on the medevac as well. Still a couple of Stalkers. If Drogo had a pylon on this side of the map, then it would have been so hard, but he's reinforcing all the way from home. And yes, Drogo is doing a lot, but he needs to be doing a lot because he's not tacking up that fast behind this. So the moment that Stim finishes up, he really needs more. This one Cyclone has been the absolute lifesaver of Major, but how much longer can it hold down the fort?
Yeah, we'll see. He tries to target down, but once again, the micro from the Mexican Terran just out of this world. This Cyclone doesn't want to die. Couple of Stalkers in the red health, like probably about 5 HP. Some Marauders will come in and join the fray. I like Drogo's position at the moment. He needs to take up. Yes, Robo Twilight Forge at the same time because he's got that third Nexus coming in.
That's a good revelation as well. He's going to be able to deny the mining just a little bit longer with these Stalkers. A lot of them are solo HP. Stim is done, so Marauder's going to stim forward. And a couple of these Stalkers will fall, quite a few. I don't think Major is going to give up here.
Yeah.
He's going to chase this army down. So that's 3 dead Stalkers already. The Oracle is going to try to... Actually, I'm surprised that he doesn't want to fight this.
Conclusive shell just finished, so those Stalkers are not going anywhere. But now, 3 Stalkers coming from the side. That Medivac will save 1 Marauder and drop it down just after that, dying anyway. Those Stalkers, I don't know if he wants to take that fight. Drogo is playing with fire right here.
Yeah, 2 Marauders are actually very hard to kill when there is a medevac above it as well. And that's 4 dead Stalkers very, very quickly. I mean, Drogo has been doing a tremendous amount of damage, but he's also been investing a lot in this push. And right now he's down in army supply, which doesn't mean much because neither player really has a lot of army supply. Good news for Drogo is he has 3 bases and he's up 16 workers. Bad news is that the real tech it's still going to take a little while. Yes, he has a Twilight and a Robo, but we're still pretty far off of a Colossus. We're still pretty far off of, you know, Blink is good defensively, but not even in a straight-up fight. So, I don't know. I mean, the 17 worker advantage is massive, but against the first real push, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see. And only 3 gateways at the moment. Not, yeah, you don't want to lose that Oracle. It's going to fall anyway. Oh, nice. Nice kiting from Major right there. 3-3, rubber game.
It's so close.
Super hectic. Crazy close right here. Double depot. He's kind of supply block on this one.
Where are the units from Drogo? I believe they're between the natural and the third base. Yes, it is. Oh, but actually they're being pulled out of position a little bit, which means that the middle line is going to be exposed, and a couple of Marauders going to stay in. At least it's a lot of Marauders, so not too many probes will die immediately.
Okay,
it's just 3 for now. Major also has to be careful because he's kind of a low economy. He can't really afford to lose many units.
Okay, Stalker is getting whopped into the main, and Mothership Car getting used here, but the Medivac will go to the natural. That's a double Widowmine drop. Can he get a really great connection? Drogo is pulling too far. He's pulling too late, sorry. No, the mine will go down.
Oh.
And actually I'm borrowing it before the second one can hit, and that was almost a perfect defense from Drogo. Being a little bit helped by Major not taking the right decision, I believe, but
yeah, Major also losing that Medivac there in the end. So good shutdown on that drop for sure by Drogo. And now I'm kind of starting to like Drogo's position a little bit more, because every second that goes by, he's going to get closer to Blink, and now he's probably going to start resonating glaives because charge is just going to take a little too long. There is an Immortal in the mix as well. So Drogo's army, it looked like not much a while ago, and now it's starting to look like a real Protoss army. He does have a lot of units out of position though, so he has to be careful.
Okay, he needs to bring those units from the natural to help out. There's a Liberator and a couple of mines, so he has vision here. Double Photon Overcharge being used on those pylons. Force Field will get baited up from Major. Pretty well played, and now Drogo is in a pretty awkward position to fight.
Good actually that he was able to still shoot at that one mine. It's so close, it's really tense and incredibly hard to call.
Drogo.
Without resonating glaives, it's really hard to shade into an army like this.
Did he forget about the units on the natural? Can we take a look just really quickly at the natural? There's a lot of Stalkers and Immortal right there. And at the moment, I believe he can sacrifice those probes. He doesn't have to fight right now. But in the end, he doesn't want to lose that base, of course.
Yeah, you don't want to lose too many more either, though, because he does need a real economy. It's +1 against +1 on both sides. Multiple Widow Mines here. Is there an Observer with this army? That's also pretty important.
Yeah, it's here, just on top of the pylon. And it will actually go for the fight. Drogo will lose a Stalker in the process. But did he forget about those units? This is the only time that I will say it. But please, Drogo, use the F2 key.
Not the only time. F2 is a great key. I don't know what you guys are on about.
I don't want to talk about this now. We can talk about it a little bit later. He's sieging up real hard. Double turret mines and Liberators for Major. And Drogo, if he forgets about those units,
the turrets make this so hard as well, because then it's going to be really hard to clean up these mines. The Liberators are starting to get quite a few shots off. I don't think the other units are here. Drogo's fighting with only half his army.
Oh my god, Drogo is not fighting with all these units, and at the moment, this was just a terrible fight. Use the F2 key, Drogo. You need those Stalkers and Immortals. Finally, they're here. But in terms of army supply, this is not looking good. Major not building a third CC. He's all in right there.
It's going to be so hard to clean this up now. Double Liberator with multiple Widow Mines and that missile turret as well, making it hard for the Observer to get nice and close. A lot of dead probes, and Major, it's not an all kill, but it's a very, very impressive performance by him, as he was able to take out the last 2 players, and now once again going up against Drogo here on Overgrowth. The game is not over yet. Major has to be careful as well. He's stimming a lot, ends up losing a Medivac there.
He's giving away a couple of free units, and keep in mind, he doesn't have the greatest of economy too, like 46 SCV, but only 1 mining base. But now that Drogo lost his third, this is going to be hard. Can he get those mines for free? The Liberators are sieged up perfectly, and losing some Stalkers here. Drogo was in control of this game ever since he missed that thing. Prism on the opposite side. Yeah, opposite side of the map. Prism actually died. Oh, did it die? No, okay. Gonna go and expand to the right side, and once again, I guess Major probably missing a little bit, not gonna connect with that much. 1 Stalker is still nice.
2 mines getting picked off there. What a bizarre game. 71 army supply. I mean, this time there is +2 and there is resonating glaives as well. And obviously attacking into that position would have been absolute suicide. But if they fight elsewhere and the Liberators are not sieged up yet, there's a very realistic chance. 1 Liberator for free! Yes! Drogo does get it, man. Drogo is really turning this around. It felt like he was almost dead and buried, but refused to give up.
Yeah, not tilting. We're not talking about throw today. Like, he's trying everything that he has, and not tapping out like too early, just trying his best, and considering this is game 7 to get an opportunity to go to the winners match. This is obviously really important, and as we mentioned, he wasn't in Nation War 3. This is really important for him. Still no third CC for Major. Will never build it, I guess. Just gonna lend his main CC from.
Wow, that's a lot of energy.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of mules there, and suddenly the supply, the army supply from our town player.
Wow,
will
3
spike
mines. Multiple free mines there. Drogo really not losing all that much, and hadn't changed. Other than a little bit of energy, I guess. Force fields and multiple Guardian shields. Well done, good force fields.
Okay, we can see a Robo Bay right here, so probably, I would say Disruptor, I guess. In a low economy game, you don't want to go into Colossi and range. Seems like too much of an investment, I believe. 3 SCVs dying because the Prism is coming back, and Drogo not losing any unit. Did he lose the Prism? No, he can afford to lose the Zodefs. I would prefer that he kills more SCVs, and that's what he's doing, but keeping that Prism alive and killing that economy and fighting on the opposite side. Does Drogo want to take that fight? There's too many Liberators here. 5.
Too far away from the reinforcements as well, but Drogo was just distracting Major, and instead of just getting 9 or 8 SCVs, he's getting 21 SCVs. He has killed 50% of the potential economy of Major. Obviously, Major will have access to mules, a lot of them, because we saw the energy that was being saved up. First Disruptor's on the way. That's a forward blink, a very ambitious one. How many Liberators can he get?
Okay, he did get 2, he did get 3, but this is not looking good. The force fields are not enough. The Immortals actually shelling away at those Marauders. The population is so close. The 3 Immortals, they need to make some magic happen, but this is not happening. Drogo threw his army away right here.
Thought he saw an opportunity with the Liberators on siege, but there was so much power in the Terran army. And now suddenly there is a Disruptor on the way. Maybe he can get a miraculous hit off. And don't forget Drogo. Oh, he's hiding the Disruptor. He's hiding it, and obviously Major is not thinking about a Disruptor right now.
Okay, can he connect with Marauders? No, we will miss, and that Nexus is actually about to die. There's no button overcharge, and that's about to be game. GG. Major does it again and takes out France in this group. Major. Ugh. What a play, though.
What a game. I mean, I almost feel that you had the caster curse now, because you're not talking about Drotro, but in the end, that blink forward, it was a risky one. I do understand it, because sometimes you feel like, this is my moment. They're on siege, you know, now I can get it. But the War Prism was far away, so he didn't have immediate reinforcements. 1,500 minerals, and that first Disruptor was on the way, and he just killed so many SCVs, you know, makes you wonder, did he really have to take that fight? But I mean, it was a very fun game, a very scrappy game, so much back and forth action. Fun to watch, just madness. It's madness.
Just a great PvT, and this is a moment where Drogo seems to be in control. After he lost all of this, that Disruptor could have changed everything, but tried to go for a different target than the huge bulk of army. And yeah, there's nothing you can do against Team Bio and Medivacs right there. But like the instant I see those Liberators not sieged, I'm expecting him to try try for that blink, because that's a huge opportunity. You know, that's one of the major issues that you have with Terrans at this moment, is dealing with those Liberators.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, he just resetted the economy so hard that he didn't really have to take that engagement for him.
Yeah, and he had money in the bank, and the Robo Bay finished up. But like, it's also one of these moments where I think if it was like 3 Liberators, it would be absolutely fine. But it was actually quite a few. It was like 5 or 6 Liberators, and you saw a full volley of the Stalkers. Didn't actually immediately kill one. Switch fire, so there were like 2 Liberators getting quite a few shots off that actually only had like 20-ish HP or so. But I mean, it doesn't matter how much HP it has. It will still not one shot, but 2 shot a lot of the units. Oh, well, it was a very fun game with a great performance by Major. Of course, an absolutely great performance by Drogo as well, as his initial games were fantastic against Chem on Vane. The first game against Major on Whirlwind was beautiful, and even the game against Jim on Daybreak was fun to watch. But in the end, it's Mexico that will advance to the winners match, where they will go up against Proland.
And this is going to be a tough match also. We will talk a little bit about the bracket. Poland took down Italy 4-1. Quite an easy win for Poland, even though our good friend, what's his name again? I can't remember. Rainer did take a game and carried his team a little bit, but it was too hard in the end. Poland, definitely one of the favorites for this tournament, going to the winners match. And that match that we expected to be a really, really tense one, I actually bet 4-3 for France, but in the end it was the opposite 7 games between France and Mexico, Mexico's in the winners match.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
And that also means that tomorrow it's going to be awesome regardless. We're going to see France go up against Italy and then eventually decide us. And yes, Poland is a big favorite over Mexico, but I want to see it first, man. If Major is feeling it, Major can take out anybody in the foreign scene, or just anybody, period, if he's really at his absolute best A++ game. And still, I think we haven't seen everything of Chem. We saw on Solid All In. And then we saw a game where it looked very bad. He had a very rough start. He lost so much against Drogo, which mostly was because Drogo was just playing fantastic with the Oracles. But then Chem still made it very close. So I think it's going to be a fantastic nation war.
It was one of the most entertaining best of 7. Obviously, being as emotionally connected as I am with the French team,
it's rough.
Makes it, hold my hand again.
I would say that I know that feel, but Holland just wins everything, so I don't.
Yes, Holland already qualified for the round of 8. You guys are lucky. This is not done for us. France is in the loser bracket. Italy is in the losers bracket. You mentioned it. We will be playing those games tomorrow, I believe. For now, we just waiting for our last best of 7 of the night, which will be Poland versus Mexico, and quite an exciting one, to be honest.
It's going to be sick. So let's head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with the last nation war of the day.